So it wouldn't let me start streaming it without it. All right, here we go.
All right. So let's start over here. Vashi.
To start it well, I am Vashi V, and joining me today are. Might as well start it from the top.
Did it dedicate?
Rai.
And zero.
Welcome to the Rider Time specials. If you're unfamiliar, these are basically spin-offs of Kamen Rider Zio. The first one we'll be talking about is Kamen Rider Shinobi, which is its own property that was introduced in Zio as a future rider. And the second one is Ryuki, which plays off of the original Kamen Rider Ryuki from 2002. So, getting into it, Kamen Rider Shinobi. The year is 2022. Earth's resources are limited, so Japan does what Japan does. Teaches everyone how to be a ninja so that they can use cool ninja techniques to solve their problems as alternative fuel sources, such as just creating fire.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll go ahead. It was all pretty interesting. I like uh, basically the outfits that all the civilians had on. Some were kind of over the top, but it was still fun that they went that extra mile. And the whole setting of basically the first three episodes that they have this little ninja tournament to get a job with this good company. So it's pretty cool.
No. The ninja tournament had a different prize, but for Iroha, she was offered a job if she won.
Oh, it's just her?
That's how it sounds, because the official prize, as we find out, was a year's worth of rice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
because Shinobi doesn't make a lot of money from his job, so they're kind of living in poverty.
Well, I'm pretty sure he'd make more money if he'd show up to it. Instead of, running around as Shinobi. Which apparently is a problem.
I mean, it does make sense, but this is one of the few shows that few superhero properties that it shows that it's like, yeah, doing this superhero shit is actually really bad to hold down like work and stuff. And maybe he doesn't have like the easy way out of like most shows. It was like, oh yeah, you saved a dude one time and he offered you a job. It's usually how it goes with like most shows, but it's like maybe not in this situation.
Well,
Especially considering like everybody's a fucking ninja. It's like why would you need to save? Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense because like the bad guys are super strong. But go ahead.
And the fact that like they play up that Rentaro sucks at being a ninja. But it's usually that or hey, look, you want to be a superhero? Here, you work for the government now. Because that's usually the two ways to go.
Yeah.
You're either out on your ass, like easiest one to put would be like Blade. And
okay. You're talking about Kamen Rider Blade. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, Kamen Rider Blade. Him and Fies would be the best two explanations for why being a superhero sucks.
Yeah.
Whereas then
I was thinking more of Marvel heroes, but fair enough.
It's like, but then you get like Kabuto, who they go, hey, we'll give you a job.
Hey, what if I just do it perfect?
Yeah.
Well,
what if like I don't even need your money, but I'll take it. But right. No, I don't need it.
Right. It's like, but it's that whole aspect of it's either you're stuck on your own and you got to get by, or you end up working for a group that pays you to do shit. It's very rare that the two overlap.
Kuga and O's would like when they weren't even riders, they would travel around and go sightseeing all the time, and so they would just return home to get part-time jobs to pay for their next vacation.
Like O's is a little bit more. He wouldn't even return home. He'd just literally just wherever he was at. Fuck it, I need a part-time job. I need to get tomorrow's meal and underwear.
Right, whereas Kuga specifically went home because he knew he would get a job with his dad's friend.
Yeah. I mean, so you're saying the next Kamen Rider is a travel blogger, or travel vlogger YouTuber. Anyway,
No,
so
we're getting that in Real Soldier. It's fine.
Yeah, we have that. We have that in Ryu.
Wow. Oh my god, I was gonna be like, oh, so this is Beast Returns the show, but like, you guys are like Real Soldier. That's even more. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that could be fun. Honestly, that would be really fun. Like, yeah, like just travel the world, kind of, and then just put a writer show solving the mysteries. That actually would be. I mean, it'd be really costly, so they would never do it. But if you could get the budget for that, that'd be such an awesome show.
Occasionally, you might get a writer who literally does not have a job. Agito, Deno, Hibiki had a part-time job. Wizard,
Yeah,
Gaim.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Wizard's interesting. It's
Wizard
more like they were helping out with the shop, kinda.
I
but
never saw Wizard do any work.
Yeah.
He would literally get ready for the day, and then all right, I'm gonna go look for some gates to protect. And the antique shop owner would be like, "All right, be safe."
But yeah, his entire job was go be wizard.
Yeah, it's more. I mean, like he could have been, but like the owner is like a nice enough dude. He understands. Like now you gotta go protect people, otherwise you're gonna go insane. So it's like, yeah, just do that.
Rather,
bro.
people are in legit danger, and someone needs to protect them.
Technically, Koyomi was helping out in the shop.
I'm only talking about Wizard.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what his girlfriend does.
We're not referring to the Living Dead girl.
Okay, whatever. So like I was thinking like Wataru also, but then again, like Wataru is a weird situation where it's like he kinda doesn't need to work, but like he then does get a job, and then like he has a place to live, but it's not like he's not living a normal life. Like Wizard, I mean not Wizard. Akiva's interesting. It's an interesting premise because he works at the cafe later on.
Yeah, I have no idea. You're right. I'm reminded that I have no idea how Wataru afforded his groceries.
I'm pretty sure that girl was buying them for him.
Yeah, I mean, technically he has the inheritance because, like, I'm sure his mom probably set him up a little bit, and probably the boss from like Blue Sky was maybe looking out for him. I don't know. It's hard to tell what was going on with the start of. I mean, even then, he's still just scraping by though.
It's like right? He did at least attempt to make violins from time to time for other people.
Yeah, well, he made violins, but we're never shown him selling them. Like, I'd be willing to believe he like made violins or like even had a repair service.
Yeah,
if he wasn't so antisocial at the start of the series.
Right.
I think he does have a repair shop though, or something's going on with that because like the people do send him stuff like in the movie, but then again, the movie is like not canon because it's almost like its own thing. They kind of do run kind of more like a repair shop.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I was justifying it to myself when I was watching that show.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, he probably has money, and then he's not exactly the most normal of dudes, so he could probably go for a while without eating. You know?
Okay. Back to
yeah,
Shinobi.
we're way off topic.
Yeah. So So we were talking before about how like making fire with ninjutsu is pretty easy, and I mentioned how like in the show making light, like raw light, is actually really hard, and how that actually kind of makes sense. But they kind of like Iroha, Shinobi's younger sister, uses science to like artificially create light in a way. Zero, do you feel like explaining that again?
Yeah, basically what she made is she was using a Stirling engine, like a really small Stirling engine, the ones like because she puts like a block of ice and then you see like a piece of metal in between. It's not, it's like two metal plates separated inside like a cylinder. But basically, it's a Stirling engine, and then she lights a candle underneath. So the way a Stirling engine works is it works by temperature difference. Um, so putting the block of ice on one side cools it, and then lighting the candle underneath heats it up. And because of the temperature difference, it's causing a pressure difference inside, um, like the Stirling engine, which causes the inside piston to make it move. Which piston, so it's mechanical motion, which produces electricity. I mean, which you can use to produce electricity is which what they're using to light the lantern. So basically, she's using like light's hard to make, but fire is easy because like you need fire for everything, and it seems to
Like,
be a basic technique, as
yeah,
Wyatt was
like
saying.
fire is like it needs air to breathe, but it's basically like a combustion reaction. Like that should be super easy. Whereas light, like that's tough. That deserves to be tough.
Right.
Uh,
And then, so basically, what she does, right? She puts the block of ice on the Stirling engine, and then you need a heat source. Like a room temperature would work, considering you're cooling it so much with the block of ice. But it would really be slow, so you need more of a steady heat source, and that's why she's using a candle, and then she's using ninjutsu to light it. So it's an interesting use of like science and magic there.
and earlier, Vash, said so she could have just struck the candle with a match, and I said, why would you do that when you can point your finger at it, go bang like a gun, and make fire?
And I conceded that's fair. Because, yeah, I do the same thing, because shooting lasers is fun.
And convenient.
Well, not in episode 3, it ain't.
Decade. Earlier, you were talking about how you appreciated Shinobi having a secret identity.
Yeah, it was just refreshing compared to, recent shows and their nonchalance about their identities. And plus, he's actually keeping it a secret from his sister as well. So,
Yeah,
he's a lot more on his own, in a sense.
it's a secret from everyone, unlike, say, I guess we can use Zio's example where, like, several people know his identity.
Yeah, a clock shop full of people, several times over.
Early
No,
build, like, multiple people knew his identity before the war happened.
Or even just Xaid.
well, technically, X8, they're fucking doctors, so they're
Yeah,
not really trying to hide who they are.
Emu's identity technically isn't a secret, but it's not unthinkable for people to not know who he is.
In fairness, yeah, because he
Right,
did start
because
out as a shitty-ass doctor.
yeah, I mean, later on they start working as like the special response unit once the ministry like explains that the fucking game virus is out and about.
Like at
Right,
the
like
end of the
they
show,
know.
at the end of the show, Emu's the one who gets to make the speech about how like they won the war, but it's not over yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Xaid was just weird in like 90 different levels.
I know, which is what makes it great.
Yeah, it was exceedingly great. Like I like the fact that he's got a secret identity.
Oh,
Uh,
nice, nice.
um,
Um,
because through like everything, like that's one of the things that I grew up with watching this type of stuff, because I grew up with Power Rangers and stuff like that, where everything was, you have to keep this a secret, aside from the random people you find that you save that are later going to take your place. But yeah, it was just, that's the aspect of being a quote unquote superhero that's always been a part of my life. So having Shinobi kind of bring that back was great. And it makes sense that he's keeping it secret from his sister, since the whole purpose is to protect his sister. Because the evil people are after her.
Like, early Heisei Rider had that aspect to it, where it's like, alright, secret identity, not doing this for fame, or like protecting my loved ones, or just those like superhero reasons for like why you would have a secret identity. Whereas Sentai, they pretty much never have a secret identity, and in some cases, like a lot of the time, they're seen as like little more than like cops doing their jobs, and in some cases, they literally are cops doing their jobs.
Or thieves.
Yeah.
That the cop ones are fighting.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of like Deca Ranger and O Ranger, but yeah, that makes.
I was thinking of Deca Ranger and Go Busters.
As soon as you said cops, my brain immediately went to Lupat.
The detective Sentai.
No, Deca Ranger is the detective Sentai.
Right, the police Sentai, whatever.
Yeah, because like Deca Ranger's name is Detective Sentai, Detective
Right.
Ranger.
But like on that aspect, Lupat did it in a very unique way, where it was, hey, we know who the Sentai team is, and at the same time, no, you don't know who the Sentai team is, because half of them were literally, we're gonna hide our identity, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. I mean, yeah, like literally, I think the last time we got this was like actively trying to hide their identity was probably Drive. But then again, like even still, like a lot of people knew his identity because like his team knows it, and his team isn't exactly small. But yeah, this used to be a lot more of a thing in like Showa Rider, not so much in Heisei Rider though.
Early Heisei, yes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to be fair, not really. I mean, like Kuga, no,
yes,
Kuga, no, Agito, no.
Kuga's identity is secret, except to the Special Police Department. Agito's identity was a secret, except to that like few group of people relevant to the story.
Well, the thing is, like, Kuga wasn't trying to hide his identity. It's just the cops hid his identity, right? Like Agito didn't give a shit. Oh, actually, no, he did. Well, early Agito is weird because like Agito himself admits that he's not fully in control. And like Fies, they don't give a shit. It's just like
Fies didn't care.
Fies doesn't care.
Ryuki was a secret except to the other riders, and like he constantly is debating
Ryuki.
telling his co-workers about it. Blade was literally a secret except to the few people he had to tell. Hibiki's is a secret because the Oni entirely are supposed to be a secret from the general public. Kabuto was not a secret because...
Well, some of them are secret, some of them are not, but then like technically, like everybody's trying to figure out Kabuto's identity, and then
Kabuto was a secret to his little sister.
Yeah, right. It's more like if he reveals his identity, it depends on what type of mood Kabuto's in that day. Like, is he in fuck it, I don't feel like talking to you today, so he's just gonna be a dick. And then other times, like, I don't even care about your existence, so I don't care if you see me. So like, yeah, Kabuto is a weird one.
Kiva was a secret except to his friends. Deke didn't care. Double didn't care because he was making a business out of it. Oz was I don't remember if Oz was a secret or not. Forze was not a secret.
Nobody was paying attention to Oz, so like he wasn't trying to hide. Well, they were trying to hide it from the cafe owner or like the restaurant owner in Oz, but like literally everybody else knew, so who cares?
And that didn't last long because the monsters kept showing up at the fucking restaurant.
Right.
Because they were attacking O's and Ankh, mostly Ankh.
Mostly Ankh, though, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but their cover story was like, oh, he's a kid who just got into some bad shit.
he's from
some
a
weird,
bad neighborhood.
yeah, he's some weird foreigner from a bad neighborhood, right? And it's like, oh, right, people are just showing up to throw stuff. Um,
And then Wizard didn't care, Gaim didn't care, Drive was a cop, Ghost was dead.
Wizard kinda cared. I mean,
No,
it-
Wizard
it-
openly henshined in public. Like, literally, episode 1,
okay, okay.
henshins in front of
Yeah.
fucking Rinko.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That was actually my first comment on Wizard when I started watching it. Was, okay, he openly henshins in front of people. He doesn't care.
Right. I think it's more. I was thinking of like how he acted, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. In episode 1,
Like,
but then like throughout the show, he doesn't care.
Pre-decade, they cared a lot more about secret identity than post-decade.
So this is why you don't merge the worlds. There's so many writers running around, nobody gives a shit. It's like, oh, which one is that? It's like that Sentai thing of like, it's which Sentai? Who cares? It's something Sentai.
Damn it, Decade.
Yeah.
Which is funny when you think about how they ran it with Fours, because they pointed out that the writers were urban legends.
Well, that's just a running.
She pulled up a video of fucking Kuga.
Right.
How is that an urban legend?
Right. It's like
she literally has direct footage of Kuga beating the shit out of a guy.
But in fairness, it's crappy. It's crappy, blurry footage. But yeah. But they still ran with it, even though the guy you have as a Kamen Rider is literally going, "Hi, Henshin, want to be my friend?"
Yeah, pretty much.
No, it's hi, want to be my friend? No, Henshin. How about now?
and of course, then everybody wants to be his friend.
Yeah.
Even the teachers know. The teachers know he's fighting monsters in the school, and they just leave him to it.
Except for the one, what was it, Osagi or whatever?
Straps teacher.
Yeah, Mr. Straps until like the end of the series.
God damn it!
And he even took over the club and still had no idea.
That is stupid. But yeah, I mean the whole writers being an urban legend thing is just kind of this running, like long running writer tradition. Like you could see it in Blade. Actually, Blade probably does it the best, where it's like, oh, is that like one of those writer people? Like random people are talking about it when, like later on in Blade, whenever like they henshin and stuff and they're fighting. So I'm like, Blade has the best lived in.
Where to lure out one of the monsters, like Blade like lies and says, "I want to thank the man who saved my life. Can help me find him." And so like a bunch of people are gathered around the monster, like taking pictures of him. And then Blade shows up and actively henches in front of them, like, "I don't care. This is the only way I can get to you."
Right. Well, technically, Blade, yeah, he does the henching thing, but it's more like Hase. Did the whole like, oh, can somebody find my savior thing? But I'm like, fuck, that was so clever. Man, that's one of the things. Like Blade uses its tech and its world really well, like in the background. Right. Whereas like Kuga actively uses it. It's like, oh, right, the cops are actively helping, right? And then like Agito is like, no, the cops are actively hindering the heroes and shit like that, right? And like there's like different forces running along and like good and bad and like different factions and shit. So it's like there's very interesting ways, but like Blade is one of the worlds where it shows like the general, like the amount of random crazy shit that the general public has, because like there's this dude with a cyborg arm, right? And like people know about Kamen Riders, sort of, like there's rumors and stuff. And there's like crazy shit like that. Like it's early Heisei was like really interesting mix that we don't get now. It's because like the fucking form gimmicks and all the other shit take up so much time that we like don't have time for anything else besides all the damn toy commercials. Which kind of sucks, to be honest. I mean, like the
Well,
solution is cut down the 2 fights in episode to one, but they're never gonna do that.
well, back to Shinobi. Um, so they're competing in this like ninja championship competition, and Rentaro is holding himself back, so because like if he does too good, people would probably figure out that he's actually Kamen Rider Shinobi. And I like how they do it because he makes the mistake of I don't know how to hold back properly because he doesn't have to do it on a normal. It's not like a normal thing for him to do, and so like he goes to produce fire and he produces like a match or like a lighter's worth of fire. Like he could have fucking wrecked his younger sister if he wanted to, or at least put up like a balanced fight if he knew how to, but he didn't. So he's like overcompensating on holding back, and he comes off as this weak ass ninja that can't do shit.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. It kind of reminded me of the end of The Incredibles when Dash is running in a track meet and he starts going too fast. So they tell him to slow down, but then he starts going too slow, and they tell him to speed up again.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it. He doesn't know what the balance is. He doesn't know what little is little enough.
Yeah, but it's cool because Shinobi basically is a badass. He just can't reveal it to anyone, so
And
he kind of has to be a gag
he
character.
doesn't he doesn't know what's an appropriate amount of force to show, and so he like over undercompensates for himself.
And it makes him an interesting character in that aspect, because it's that whole we know that he could do this, and seeing him comically go a lot lower than he should with his abilities works out pretty well. And for a series that is kind of just like a one-off, let's kind of be funny and awesome at the same time, it works perfectly with this. And with that type of thing is kind of a nice little nod to Ninja too.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said.
Which that would be more of a nod towards Takaru, who just couldn't do shit because he was a jackass.
All right. Before we continue, Decade. Sorry that this went on longer than you were able to stay for.
Yeah, it's fun. Just overall, Shinobi was pretty fun. Some of the things I really liked were like the background music. It was just really good, especially during the fights. That's one thing I've been complaining about. Zio and kind of build at times, just not really having good background music, and this was really well done. And I'm sure you guys will get into it, but just the story kind of felt like it has potential to be a full-length series. This is supposedly in, 2022?
Yeah.
So, especially with that ending sequence, which I'm sure you guys are going to get into.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Really cool. I would be kind of disappointed if Shinobi wasn't our 2022 series. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Ryuki before you
go? Yeah. A lot of thoughts. It was pretty amazing and sad, especially the ending, because in the show we get kind of like a bittersweet ending, and this was just really sad. So yeah, I'm sure you guys can have fun talking about it. It was a pretty good special. Both of these were really good.
All right. Later, Decade.
See you later, Decade.
See you guys.
Okay, later.
So sorry for interrupting you, Zero. What were you saying about Shinobi's like his skill control level?
I mean, it's interesting because, like, as you guys said, it's an interesting dynamic because normally in a show, it's like, oh, can he rise to meet the level? But it's like, no, we already know he's super competent, right? Like maybe not to Kabuto's level of insanity, but like,
Oh, this
he's
guy. I do not get the impression that Renjiro has a god complex.
right. I mean, like skill level wise, but like he's
I know
still
what I
pretty.
said.
Yeah. I mean, I'd still rank him like X8 ish level because like X8 shows up and he's like immediately confident, but he can actually back it up. But he's not like insanely confident and not insanely cocky. Um, like I don't feel like he's wizard level of confident of like I can walk through you or like even more overconfident like Decade or Kabuto. But um it's an interesting mix. So like having him have to reduce his power is kind of an interesting way of just doing the standard like, oh, can you meet this test that we've set out for you? But he has to like hold back on it. That was a nice way to add comedy into the show.
Like that's one thing they did really well in this little special was the comedy in it. Which, given the trade off for the other years that we got, was a nice touch.
Oh god, we'll get into that.
Uh, Iroha herself, Shinobi's younger sister, as I've mentioned multiple times, she's the strong girl of the show. Except here it's justifiable because everyone's a ninja and she's just a particularly skilled ninja. She's also incredibly smart and pays attention in school. Like when they're doing the tournament thing, she actually ends up beating Gentaro in their match off because he's holding back too much, and she doesn't hold back at all and floors him. Uh, Even later on, when Renchiro like gets knocked out of his transformation, she doesn't know he's Shinobi, so she just sees him her brother getting attacked by the Dark Ninja, and so she jumps in to fight and protect him.
Right, that's what I was going to talk about. It's like she's probably like if this was a show, it'd be great because she's like a really active supporting character and she has the skill and she's um like it's interesting because like one you can see where her plot line would go, which is like, oh, she's going to join the company and the company is going to be evil, right? And then she has to be the more responsible one, and then she's strong, but she's strong because like she pays attention, she's kind of like book smart and stuff like that. So it's like you could see her having a character arc and having plot lines while being like a fun character and a decent support character. So like she's probably like one of the strongest supporting characters we've gotten in the last couple of years, or yeah, probably the last couple of years.
And even with that, they still kind of justify it too because she's apparently the long lost princess.
Right. Like, think back to like O's, where the strong girl in that show is strong, and why I don't know, but here she is lifting up a vending machine.
Right, which was weird. I mean, like Hina is really interesting as a character later on, but it takes a while. I was thinking of the assistant of Cake Boss, who's like an insane badass, but like
She
she
doesn't do
barely.
anything.
Yeah, I mean, she gets to be birthed, but that's only in a special, right, or something like that. And it's like, such a waste.
She shows up, kicks a little ass, throws the gear, and that's about it.
Right. I mean, it explains why he keeps her around, but it's like it's kind of a waste of a character.
Well, he also
Uh,
keeps her around because she puts up with his bullshit.
yeah,
And
that's
and
true.
despite not liking sweet things, will taste as cakes.
Yeah, she eats entire cakes for this guy, right? And then we find out in an episode that she hates sweets. She likes spicy food.
I mean, I guess her reasoning's good too. It's like the pay is good, so I don't care. I mean, it's a job, right?
Like, I'm willing to believe that Cake Box pays.
Well, no shit. Like, I mean, he's the owner of like Kagami or whatever. He's the owner of like the foundation, right? And like they have their own fucking institute. Like they basically own that town, or at least like a major like tech company or development. Anyway, the point is like, yeah, um,
They have their own
Cake
private
Boss is
army.
fucking. I mean, like, yeah, he has a skyscraper. He has his own private army. He's basically like the comedic version, like slightly lighthearted version of fucking Smart Brain. You know? Whereas like he's basically Cake Boss is basically a post-decade take on Murakami from Fies, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
but I think the one interesting aspect of his sister's character, and when you think about it, it's slightly creepy, is she's in love with Shinobi.
That's why, like, when she's hugging Shinobi, Shinobi is, like, ready to check the fuck out.
I know that was pretty funny. I mean, to be fair, from her point of view, it's just like, hey, this
He's the
heroic character.
mysterious stranger.
Yeah, right. He just keeps showing up to save her whenever she's in danger. So, like, it's the whole like Tuxedo Mask, Sailor Moon shit, or yeah, right.
And he's
So,
also, like, a really strong ninja and he's worth idolizing.
It just turns out to be, it
right,
just happens to be her brother, and she doesn't know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm watching that scene like he really wants to tell her right now.
I know, right? I love how he like 1 second she like backs off and boom, he's gone, and then she beats the shit out of like the dummy that he leaves behind. I'm like, oh, that was such a good scene. Yeah, that was pretty fun. To be fair, like literally everyone has a weirdo crush thing going on besides Shinobi in these 3 episodes. So whatever. I guess it's also a running theme of this or this special.
Because, yeah, multiple people are in love with his sister. Apparently. And it's really, really odd for one of them.
One of them
Yeah.
is Ichi, Kamen Rider Hatari.
Yeah.
This like pretty boy wannabe who works for whatever the company is called that's secretly like the evil organization. He doesn't even know about that aspect.
Well, I mean, he's the son, right, of the company owner. So,
Yeah,
Like-
because it's his dad's running the tournament.
Like it's clear that that's how he got his rider gourd. But he clearly doesn't know about the evil shit going on. Well, like
yeah, I mean,
he knows that there are dark ninjas. He clearly doesn't know that his dad's company is supporting them.
Well, I mean,
Slash
Right.
dad is probably the main villain.
in fairness, with the way this series ended, Rentro's kind of in the dark on some shit, too.
Yeah, like that's what I like is that our two main heroes are both working for villains and they don't even know.
right, right. Which is one of the more interesting aspects. It was like it's so lighthearted and comedic, but like you can tell there's like this giant undercurrent of like fucked up shit's gonna happen later in the show when these guys figure out who's actually controlling them. This is sort of like that weird undertone that we were kind of getting in Coast, and then it ended up being not as bad as it seemed. But it's like, yeah, in this type of show, it seems like it's built in to have those plot lines later down the line.
It's like, and it's executed really, really well for this too. Like, and that's part of what pisses me off with the fact that this is at least at the moment just a fucking special. Because we can see how amazing this could be. And all we're getting is this little itty bitty taste, and then nope, no more.
There's a full 50 episodes of potential here.
There is, but my concerning thought on this is like, yeah, it's good, but it's good because it's 3 episodes. If we actually drag this out, like the amount of plot we're thinking is like, yes, this is the potential of the show. But I'm like, the problem is you can't base the show on its potential, or you can't rate it. Because here's the problem: like if I was rating Gaim on potential, it's fucking through the roof. Its execution is garbage, but its potential is huge.
That's one thing I was thinking about. It's like in modern, so like what we got in these 3 episodes, like in Modern Rider, would be squeezed into 1 or 2 episodes.
Right, which is really sad because like this is enough. I mean, this is fun, but like this is like the fun beginning arc, you know? Like don't rush through this, but like if it was in a show like Zio or something where it's like they have to squeeze in cameos or they have to squeeze in the power up of the week, like we would just basically, yeah, this would be the tournament arc episode instead of, you know, like an actual fucking arc like it deserves to be.
Like,
which is kind of the thing.
Just running off that idea is like Zio itself has amazing potential, extremely poorly executed. Extremely poorly executed.
Really, that's what it comes down to, is execution. And if we were to get like a full Shinobi series and they executed it like they did this, then it would be great.
Honestly, I'd be fine with if they decide to just be like, all right, no, this is one Shinobi arc, and then or one season, and it's like a condensed season like Amazon's, like 10, 15 episodes.
Yeah, like a 12 episode season would be fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with it because I'm thinking this like limited format. Like, here's the thing: like Japanime and those guys are like reviewing the Ryuki one. It's like, oh, it feels rushed. Like personally, it doesn't feel that rushed to me. But like, I feel like Shinobi is Shinobi. Okay, Ryuki feels a little rushed. Shinobi doesn't feel rushed at all. Like it feels perfectly at home in a 3 episode arc. So like I feel like if they do like a season, like a small season like Amazon's with Shinobi, it'll work out perfectly because this seems like the type of show that would be perfect for a small format.
Like
because if you try to drag it out to 50, it's got potential for 50, but I don't know if it'll work.
I can see how the Ryuki special would come off as rushed if you wanted to like get to know the characters, including like the new ones, but if you walked in with my expectations, which is there are 3 characters that are going to get attention here, then that was not rushed.
Like the closest you get to it, to me, that the main reason why it feels rushed is because we're all comparing it to Ryuki, the actual series, which yes, it moved at a decent pace. There were also those moments where it was just slow conversations and character interactions.
It's because I've seen Ryuki that I don't think the special is rushed. I know who these characters are, save like the replacement riders. I don't care who they are, though. They're just here to die. Hey, look, there they go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, it's because we've seen Ryuki, like, I don't need an introduction to these characters. I know exactly who the fuck they are. Like, the Ryuki special is the best Kamen Rider decade Ryuki episode ever made, right? Like it's like I don't feel like, oh, this is terrible or anything. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Zio's just gonna reset everything at the end. Like he's not gonna of course steal their powers. Like that'd be insane. Nobody's gonna fucking be okay with that. So therefore, this is just an alternate reality take on Ryuki, and I'm like, okay, so it's just like Decade. You know, the Ryuki special is just like a Decade special based in the Ryuki universe. better than the actual fucking decade episode based on the Ryuki universe. But yeah, fucked up shit happens.
In fairness,
but
anything would have been better than Decade's version.
Oh god, yeah, that's such trash. But like the Ryuki special, exactly. If you know exactly what these characters are, it's great because it's such an interesting take. Because it just goes with the premise, like, okay, Ryuki characters, if they all lost their memories, go.
And the series never truly ended.
Yeah, more like the show
like
just
if the reset button was hit again, because
exactly.
there's a fan theory that like during Ryuki's time, there's like the TV special and the movie, like those are all like timelines that like they happened. And Kanzaki Shiro didn't get what he wanted, so he kept hitting the reset button until the main series happens.
You know what? I could see that happening.
This special is basically like, all right, he hits it again.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, it's weird, like, because he wouldn't need to do it at this point, but whatever.
In the series, like, he was him finally giving up.
Right. So it's weird, but, like, Zero does dumbass shit where it's like, it's ruining perfect endings for shows, so I'm like, fuck it, whatever. I'll just take it.
Well, the Ryuki special is the best episode of Zio, so...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's more like, yeah, I guess because they actually show up. I feel like it's the best example of like a decade thing of like, no, this is just an alternate.
It's the best example of decade, but it's the best episode of Zio.
Yeah, let's go with that. I don't know. I mean, like, Agito was pretty good, but like, yeah, you're right. Like, it can't compete with this. I mean, we'll get to that. Let's just finish up Shinobi first.
Right. So Shinobi. So are we done talking about Iroha?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Isamichi Kanjo, Kamen Rider Hatari. So he's the dim-witted pretty face here. Like, he is head over heels over Iroha, and, like, he becomes a rider to impress her because of how in love with Shinobi she is. And he gets his ass kicked by Shinobi, and so when the Dark Ninja shows up, he teams up with him just so he can try and unmask Shinobi, because he is that dim-witted. I could see, like, that particular move, teaming up with the Month villain, I could see, like, that kind of behavior being annoying, but all the rest of, like, his naiveness is just spot on. Like, they knock Shinobi away, and he untransforms, and Rentro's, like, looking for his gourd, and Hatari runs up to him, like, Rentro, there, what are you doing here? Have you seen Shinobi? Shinobi ran that way. Cool, thanks.
I laughed so fucking hard at that scene. Because it exemplifies just how dumb he is. And just how desperate Rentaro was.
It gets worse when Rentaro puts on the mask, still wearing the same clothes, gets Hatari's gourd back to him, and Hatari goes, I don't know who you are, but thanks. And I'm thinking in that moment, like, well, okay, so he doesn't know who this is, but this is clearly Shinobi, right? And then he henshins, is like, wait, you're Shinobi? It's like, oh my god!
And, like, the sad thing is, like, in terms of the outfit thing, he's not only is he wearing the thing that, the little head wrap that Hatari had, he still has his purple one on below that. So everything else is still the same fucking outfit, and he's the only one wearing that outfit. Like, that's the one annoying. That's the outfit that he's seen him in this entire fucking series, and it's like, I have no idea who you are.
It's like, alright, maybe
I was thinking, I was just thinking the outfit is just like a generic ninja outfit, so there's other people.
Right, maybe the outfit is
common enough. You never see anybody else in the color, which is stupid, but let's just, for nicety, assume other people have.
Like, forget the fact that it's the same outfit. Forget the fact that he's standing in the same spot. Like, maybe there's plausible deniability that that's Rentaro, especially since his ninja skill is above what Hatari believes Rentaro's to be at. Fine, but shouldn't he have, after seeing all that shit, been like, "Oh, wow, this must be Shinobi"? No, he had to see it mentioned first for it to click.
Right. That's the point. I'm like, oh, you're such an idiot. You know, the funniest thing with the whole like, pretty boy with no brain, and then like the switching sides. So I'm like, oh, and then with his like dad probably being the villain, I'm like, this is literally like what if fucking Killer Bee was actually Cat Noir, without knowing it. So I'm like, wow, this is ridiculous. Especially because he has a stupid freaking hornet thing. Yo, what is with the specials and the freaking like magic animals going on? Is this like Jackie Ranger all over again? Like, you have like the Ryuki shit, and then I just noticed I'm like, oh right, they also have like the frog and the freaking bee thing. I mean, like it's a cool like design and all, but it's like it's a weird parallel, for the two specials.
Like, to me, the worst aspect of it wasn't the fact that he's standing right next to him and transforming. It's he literally has the two gourds in his hand and goes, "Here's yours."
Right. Like, how else would he know it if he wasn't Shinobi?
Yeah, that line was extremely stupid. But then again, like I guess maybe it's in character. It's one of those things where it's like technically you should probably not make your character this stupid. Him teaming up with the villain was great though.
No. If we somehow get a full series of this, I want Hatari to be this stupid. I want to see I want to see how fucking far he goes.
Oh man. So like what? Like Build is the smartest Kamen Rider. This is the dumbest Kamen Rider. Yeah, this will be interesting. I mean, him teaming up with the villains was great though, because I'm like, oh yeah, he's just that much of an asshole. He doesn't care about justice or anything. It's just whatever he wants, he'll team up with anyone. That's such an interesting trait. Yeah, that was kind of fun to watch too. And then he shows up. It's like, no, get the fuck away from Shinobi. It's like, oh, good, he turned good. It's like, no, I'm the one to beat him. I'm like, oh my god.
Okay, so when it does the whole, I'm gonna be the one to beat him, it's like, yeah, okay, so they team up for the bad guy, and then they're still rivals, right?
Yeah,
no, he
right.
immediately turns around and starts fighting him right then and there.
I know this. Oh, oh, that's great. Any other thoughts, Fashi?
Like, the whole aspect is like, I love that, just that whole no hesitation, fuck it, I'm kicking your ass now. Just because the whole I need to know who you are and fuck you, I'm gonna have what's your name's heart by the end of this.
Now, when we keep saying he's trying to find out Shinobi's identity, because Iroha loves Shinobi, not him. He's not gonna like expose him. He's not doing this to like try and like take him out as a civilian or anything like that, like demean him. No, he wants to prove that he is handsomer.
I know, right? This is such a dumbass pretty boy. Like he literally is. This should be a fucking like Marvel. I mean, Ladybug and Cat Noir episode at this point for a plot this ridiculous. But whatever. I mean, it's been a while, writer. To be fair, they were trying to be really stupid and lighthearted, so I could see this plotline. But damn, man, I don't think I've seen a storyline this stupid in a while.
Like, I think if this ended up having a longer format, this could play out really, really well. It does get played out,
right? I mean, like
kind of dumb because of how quickly they have to rush through this because it's only 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But,
like, I feel like this is a better take on the like Sento Banjo dynamic than actual Bill did, where it's like they keep saying Banjo's dumb, but I'm like, he's just like a regular dude. Except you keep insulting him, calling him stupid, and then he does something stupid in that exact moment, then he just goes back to being normal. No, like, this motherfucker actually is dumb as a brick.
Right.
and somebody gave him a rider belt.
Like that's the part that bugged me with that being done in build was the fact of I have no problem with Banjo being called dumb. That's
Okay.
fine. But where it's
Like,
fucked up is the person who's calling him dumb is a literal fucking genius.
to be fair, Banjo, the dumbest thing Banjo says in the entirety of Build is, "Where's Mars?"
That is pretty dumb. But through everything, Grease says dumber shit.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, worst comes to worst, if he ever has to pay anything, he can just pull out a violin and play you his song. It'll be fine.
I still wish that would have been a thing. Just at one point. Like, that would have been a perfect nod to it, now that in hindsight, of him trying to...
like
my God.
a passing comment of, "Oh, I used to play the violin."
Or even
Yeah,
just, or
yeah.
even just one of those, hey, I'm gonna try and impress her, so I'm gonna play the violin.
Right. That would be pretty good too. I mean, maybe in like a special or something. Unlikely now because it's been a couple years.
And then, but then they just have to make him terrible at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that would be
Right.
that would
That would be
made
the
that
best.
hilarious.
Right. Or if he had to like dress up and he's just wearing like Otoya's 80s outfit, like this is not anywhere near today's fashions. Like what are you even doing, dude? Um but yeah, that would have been fucking great. To be fair, like at least we got the other callback that we're all been calling out in the Ryuki special at the end. So at least we got one of them, you know.
So, moving on to the only other character in this show, Yami Nin, or the Dark Ninja. So, this is important because we find out that this guy is working alone. Dark ninjas are just a universal term for ninjas for like criminal ninjas. The rainbow or whatever, what are they? The rainbow ninjas? Those guys are
Rainbow Snake, whatever.
Rainbow Snake. Those guys are the actual like bad guys, I think. Although now that I think about it, like this guy does have like the snake motive going on. So I'm not entirely clear, actually. Like, it seems like Dark Ninja is just a universal term, but then there's also the Rainbow Snakes that are the criminal organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting if this becomes a show, but like, yeah, I guess they're just saying like why, like they're just setting up like the villains of the week and like a villainous faction down the line. So that's a clear way, I mean, clever way to do it, especially because like usually whenever like in a writer show at the end of the first episode, something like this gets set up anyway. So
So this guy, let's talk about. Oh, sorry, Vashi.
I'm gonna wait a minute until you get into the input of
The-
Sam.
This guy. Let's talk about this guy's plan, right? So, we know that Iroha is being like sabotaged in the ninja competition, which we found out was. Oh, right. We forgot to talk about this part of Hatari. Hatari was
yep.
sabotaging Iroha's participation because if she wins, she gets a job at his dad's company, and he doesn't want her to get the job because interpersonal relationships are not allowed. You can't date coworkers.
And then immediately has a fantasy about her being his secretary.
Oh my god, that was so fucking good. That whole like segment of like this is the dumbest motivation possible. Because and then it cuts to the fantasy. I'm like, oh my god, you idiot! You actually believe this. And it was kind of almost sweet. I'm like, this is like you're just a dumbass. You had like no malintent. You're just as stupid. Yeah, that was almost like an it crowd moment of ridiculous boss shit happening. Um, if you guys know what the hell I'm talking about. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like the IT crowd, but it's not. It's whatever. Have you guys seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't
Okay,
either.
so it's like a live action like comedy show. Basically, like they're like the IT section of like a British company. But like um the company basically hates the IT department, so they put them in the basement of their fucking skyscraper. But they have to solve like everybody's problems except they're like snarky IT assholes. And then like season two is like the main boss dies, and so his son comes in. But his son's like this kind of douchebag playboy. Well, he's not that much of a douchebag. He's just kind of a jackass playboy dude. But he kind of has like a nicer stance on the IT department, so like they get to do more fun stuff with him. But anyway, that character generally tends to have like random fantasies and shit like that happen. And if you know anything about that show, what the hell I'm talking about would make a lot more sense with that like fantasy section there. But whatever, you guys don't know, so I'm just dragging this along.
Uh,
Um. Anyway, yeah, that was actually really cute though that they actually put that in. I'm like, this is almost like a. This kind of gives me like flashbacks to Ryuki, where it's like Itawa would like think of shit like this, but then like it would immediately just cut to what's her name? The reporter, main reporter person
sorry, who?
from Ryuki,
Oh.
like the lead reporter person.
Uh,
Damn it. See, yeah, I remember nobody's. I know it's like R something.
yeah, it's R something.
Anyway, yeah, the point is like Zelda would have like this kind of setup, and then like it would just
Reiko.
cut to her, Reiko, right? And then like it would just cut to Reiko, and she's like, "Fuck that shit." I'm not dealing with this crap. I remember the fucking like worst day ever thing with the date and all that. Oh my god, that was so funny. Yeah. Anyway, that was fun-ish. Like he's kind of a douchebag, and like that was the scummy thing to do. Like he had no real malintent. Well, I mean he had malintent, but like he's not super malicious of a character. It was kind of a scummy thing to do, and like Shinobi like calls him out. It's like, dude, do you know what you did? That was such a dick move. So at least that's good that he got called out on it. Yeah.
And keep in mind that he is describing this fantasy about the girl he has a crush on to her brother, her older brother.
I mean, to be fair, they're like supposed to be best friends,
They're like childhood friends, yeah, but still.
but still, yeah.
This is
Like-
not as bad as
like-
going to your friend and going, "Hey, I want to bang your sister."
Like
It's not
there's-
that bad, but it's pretty
okay,
close.
okay, but there's a distinction between I find your sister attractive and I would love to take her out on a date, and man, imagine if your sister was my like personal assistant.
Which
Secretary, that's what the word is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, well, administrative assistant now, but, or executive assistant because he's more of a head. Okay, whatever. Point is, stupid terms. Um, to be fair, he's just a stupid rich boy stuck in his own head loop of like, oh fuck, I have to work at this company,
Yeah,
so like
they-
the only way I can be
thankfully-
close to this person.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
because they're childhood friends, Renshiro knows that he can't take anything this guy says seriously.
Right. Which. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to be honest, but I guess it explains like, well, how else do you get like, you know, son of company owner and hey, I'm barely paying the bills over here, you know, together.
But to get her to not be hired, he's going around and sabotaging her.
And like when she does get to the finals anyways, he's torn between cheering her on to look good in front of her versus not wanting her to win so he can date her. Like the solution to that is simple, which is you cheer her on anyways, but because this guy's a dimwit,
He doesn't know what to do.
this is actually an internal struggle for him.
He's such an idiot. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can play it off as like these characters are really young and stupid, especially goddamn in the Ryuki special, where it's like it just cuts to the Ryuki actors and cuts back to Zio. I'm like, holy fuck, who are these young kids? I've been just seeing old men.
Like Oja is like fucking graying out over there.
Like
and then
Oja's, yeah, Oja's not even the one I'm freaking out about. I'm more like, hey, who was the like old guy in the leather suit in the beginning? Who gets like
I don't know.
I'm thinking that's Scissors, because like he's the only one we. No, it's not.
No, we see Scissors. Scissors was in the initial lineup with Guy.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, is that one of the old Ryuki actors? Because
No.
if it is, and it's oh, okay, thank God. Because I'm like, holy shit, man, these people age badly. Okay, we'll get into it at the Ryuki thing.
Okay, that old guy might have been Abyss.
No, it's not. Because Abyss is the guy. He had like a big black jacket. You see him when he dies. So Abyss was a different guy. It's not him. And I'm oh my.
Scissors was the guy that Tezuka fucking stabs.
No, Drago says that was Abyss's suit actor.
Oh.
Okay.
It was Abyss. Technically.
I'm like, that was so weird because I'm like, oh my god. I felt so bad. I felt so bad when that happened. I'm like, this is so fucked up. Because like normally the reality of being like a writer doesn't hit you because like, oh, you see like the old writers come back, but I'm like, they're basically cyborg, so it doesn't really matter because it turns into an Ultraman situation. It's like, yeah, their human bodies age, but like they'll still be powered up. But the Ryuki writers aren't like that, so it's like, oh, it's so sad seeing like these people have to like fight and like they're so old and broken and still having to do this shit. It really got to me, and it just like how being like a Kamen Rider in like the Heisei era is basically just a young guy's game.
Okay, so I just looked it up. That old guy, I think that. Actually, no, wait, never mind. Ignore me.
According to Drago, that addendum, it was Seiji Takaiwa?
Takaiwa, yeah.
Mr. Kamen Rider. Oh man, that's even worse. That's even worse.
My brain completely blanked on how to say his name.
But so what Drago was referring to is that when Abyss gets killed, and he de-henshins, like the guy standing there, like that was literally the suit actor.
Oh, okay, that's fine. And I'm like, yeah, because that guy looked way younger. Because I'm like, that's different. That's definitely, yeah. When they do like that group shot, I'm like, who are these old men? And I'm like, oh no, it's them. It's been like fucking 20 years. They've aged so much. I'm like, actually having to do the Ryuki fights again at this age is so like disheartening and sad because I'm like, the reality hits you of like, no, these guys are just people, right? They're gonna fucking get murdered, right? Like they don't like Oja is a crazy fucker, like, right?
I know.
Like,
just
okay,
ask
I could let him. yeah, right. Like I could let him go, and then like Goro-chan has been like continuously acting in like tokusatsu for years, so like it's fine. Like I'm used to seeing him age and stuff, but like seeing all the other people and like, yeah, the main guys mostly haven't aged that badly, but then you see like other people, I'm like, oh my god, you people look so fucking different. Like Tezuka shows up, and I'm like, I know you're Tezuka because you have the outfit, but like, I don't fucking believe this because like, you don't look like him at all. And then it cuts to him seeing him from the side. I'm like, oh shit, it is him.
like
That was so fucking weird.
like I had that issue with Ryuki himself.
Right, it's
He
the
Especially
hair.
when-
doesn't look the same at all.
Especially when they do the flashbacks and his hair's like that reddish blonde and long and curly. I'm like, what the fuck happened? You couldn't get him a wig.
Yeah.
You're like, you couldn't get him a wig.
I know, right? I'm like, oh, I get it. You're just updating everybody's look into the modern look. You don't want to throw back to the old look at all. And then like I'm like, oh, Ren actually looks pretty decent. And then it cuts back to old Ren. I'm like, holy fuck, your hair used to be even more amazing. It's pretty damn good now, back dad. But you know, like,
Bad dad.
yeah, I mean, he has a kid now, so he is the back dad. And then like it cuts to the end, and then like Shinji comes on and he looks at Gate and is like, Ren. I'm like, oh my god, they fucking made the joke. It's
And
almost like
they kind of
I-
superimposed Ren's
okay.
face on him.
Like, I've been saying that all Zio. I've been saying that Gaze is just a discount right in the entire show. Now it's canon.
yeah, no, it's like the only this is a much better version of that like Gaim joke of like Taki Tora, and then like it cuts to like Gaim and is like Bata. I'm like, oh fuck you! Like everybody in the fandom's been making the O's jokes, but like we put it in the actual show. That was really stupid. Here it made a lot more sense, but like at least they put it in.
It's like,
Okay.
real quick, just on the whole actors again. I was like, I even had that issue because I'm going back and I'm watching Agito, so like seeing Soichi now is like a giant what the fuck.
Yeah, man.
Like if they would have
Right.
zoomed in on him doing his Soichi face, that
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he kind of purses his lips and nods his head. I'm like, I had no idea that was him until he did that, and I'm like, oh, that's Soichi.
Yep.
To be fair, I saw Suichi like he's in like the damn Ryuki movie and stuff. So like and he's on TV in Blade or something. No, Flies. Right. So the thing is like, yeah, Suichi I could see because like Suichi was really young. So I'm like, okay, you haven't aged that much, but like, yeah, the hair. Like writers used to have such fucking awesome hair in early Heisei, and then like Kabuto happened, they all fucking went short hair. So like seeing them like come back with short hair like really throws me the fuck off.
It's
Like
that.
Flies, it annoyed me so much.
It's that, and
Right,
he's
that he-
not as tan.
Yeah, that too. But I'm like, that's probably because they're not fucking running around shooting all the damn Ryuki shit all the time in the sun, right?
I was referring to Agito.
Oh, yeah. It's the tan thing definitely.
Because he looks a lot more normal Asian.
Yeah, normal Japanese now instead of being like
He
half
does-
Hawaiian. or
Yeah,
something.
like he looked like a half islander.
Right. That was interesting. I mean, again, who knows? It might have just been because of the shooting or stuff, or maybe that's just the look that they wanted to cast for him. It's interesting. Yeah, but like Suichi, I mean, yeah, like the only okay, the funniest thing is fucking seeing the character who plays Emperor, and like I'm like, okay, did that character come back? Because I feel like he came back, but he looks so different. I'm like, when the fuck did you turn into a cinnamon roll? You're supposed to be like this backstabbing piece of work. But like in the Ryuki special, he's like the nicest dude ever. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is not your character, but I'm like, it's probably been like 20 years. You might not even be an actor anymore, so you're just more like playing yourself at this point. But it's so jarring. I mean, like the whole like memory wipe explains why everybody's acting super different. But anyway, let's
Heading
this.
back, Rai had to dip for a minute. But entire Dark Ninja's plan is to basically risk his sister's life because he wants to date her. Like, wasn't I want to kidnap her because I'm supposed to, because that's what the Dark Ninjas are after. It's no, I want to take her out on a date.
That's a little messed up, but I'm like,
That's borderline sexual predator there.
yeah, with the kidnapping and everything, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's just they had to give him like a really stupid ass reason because it's a comedy special,
Right. I mean, they
basically at this
still
point.
and
But yeah,
it threw me off because my brain, even though registering kind of a comedy special, was the fact that they were still kind of keeping it through the storyline of what we were given. Because what we were given by Jiraiya, Mr. Evil Frogman, was this. They're after her because she's the long lost princess, whatever the hell that means. So the Dark Ninjas are after her, and this was supposed to be like the buildup of, oh no, they found her, which would have been an annoying way to end the series with, oh yeah, they know who she is now. You have to protect her, which would have been fantastic. But the series is this little thing is ending, so they kind of had to have a, solidified circle for that.
yeah. I mean, especially because like if that was the case, then they would have to know who she was. But the thing is, like, even throughout like episode 2 and 3, like he has no idea who the fuck she is. He just kind of is going after her. So like, I guess they had to give like
A
a
reason
reason
for it.
why like yeah, a reason why it wouldn't tie in.
Sorry,
But then
I'm
make
back.
it like super comedic. Hello.
And
Your thoughts on this insane situation?
instead of it just being a monster of the week going, hey, I'm just going to kidnap this random person, it's, I want to date her.
Like, it was the most fucking bizarre reveal. Like, they set it up nicely with him questioning, like, why are you always protecting that woman? After we just found out, like, that she's actually secretly a princess that they're after. It's like, oh, like, maybe they're onto her, or maybe they're just trying to find out Shinobi's identity so they can go after him. Like, nah, he wanted to know if they were dating.
I love how like the secondary writer and the villain both have like this stupid like they come close to being like, oh no, this might actually be a problem for Shinobi, and then like nope, 2 seconds later like they have the dumbest reason. Like I kind of like how ridiculously stupid it is, because it's so fucking lighthearted. Maybe that's what like Drago was talking about. It's like, oh, it's a lot more fun or whatever. But like at some point or other, like they can't do 50 episodes with this comedic shit. Like maybe they could, like maybe a Sentai could pull that off, but like a writer, no chance in hell that would work out.
So to end the special, we have Rentaro, Shinobi, asking Gamano, his secret mentor that only knows about a particular aspect that the Dark Ninja brought up, which was how the riders kind of hit their limits. And he's kind of asking him, like, hey, what does that mean? What limit is he talking about? And Gamano tells him to shut up.
Yeah, basically just goes, yeah, don't worry about it, you're fine.
Stop asking.
And then, lo and behold, he's apparently an evil asshole.
We don't. So
I say
like,
apparently because they're kind of because it could just be that whole, hey, well now we have to have a way to accelerate him to a higher level. So let's give him the challenges of having to face other riders, which is kind of how I took that, because I could see it as both ways, as he's actually working with the bad guys, which would make no fucking sense, considering the whole purpose of the bad guys is to find the princess.
It's like he's talking about how Rentaro will need like a selection of qualified rivals. So to exhaust him. We don't know if he's like trying to put pressure on Shinobi or if he's actually like trying to weaken him.
I mean, how else would Shinobi reach Ultra Instinct, right? If he doesn't fight to his limit. Okay, please.
Yeah.
Somebody watch.
You know what? But like, you make a good point though. It's like maybe what he means by to exhaust him. He's like, all right, he replicated an advanced ninjutsu really easily. Like, I really need to hurt him to get him stronger, possibly to protect Iroha. Like, there could be benign intentions here, or it could be like a wizard situation where he's planning on sacrificing him at the end.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, or maybe it's just that like this might be a parallel to like the tale of like Jiraiya and stuff, and like if Shinobi's Jiraiya, like Jiraiya gets his power by being trained by like this frog wizard dude. Maybe that's what this character is a reference to, and maybe he had like trials or something. Fuck, I really should have seen the second half of that damn video. But maybe that's why, like, maybe all this
It
shit
suddenly
you're thinking
became relevant.
Yeah, ridiculously relevant. So, yeah, it's weird. Like, maybe all the stuff we're seeing as being like hyper shady. Like, one, it probably is, but two, like maybe it makes a lot more sense if you're Japanese to see the parallels. Anyway, the video I'm talking about is by Lin Fami. Jiraiya, this story will make you appreciate Naruto. Japanese folktales, Jiraiya. Basically, that's the video I'm fucking talking about. So maybe this is like all a reference to that and like a weird writer take on that folktale, or maybe it's just some shady shit going on. I don't know.
Like-
or it could be.
like-
It could even go the route of Ghost, which I know Rai hasn't seen, where the main guy helping him used to be part of the evil assholes.
Necrom, right?
No,
No.
Senin,
No.
God.
Senin.
I don't know who that is.
So it's the guy who gives Ghost his driver.
Oh.
He used to be a bad guy.
Oh.
Right.
Back
so
when
basically,
they weren't necessarily a bad guy.
yeah,
It was a
it's
weird.
complicated.
His entire storyline is kind of weird.
So, like, here's the real kicker, though, is after Gamino says that line, we get a shot of, like, 6 ninja badasses. 2 of them are Shinobi and Hatari, but then who are the fuck are the other 4? Is that concept art?
Like
It's clearly Kit Bash.
that's the part that irritates the hell out of me with this. It's like I started with this. It's my only real complaint, aside from the fact that they spoiled who Hataro was in the opening of the first episode.
Like, before you get the reveal of his identity, it tells you in the, like, intro.
But beyond that, it's the fact that there's a very real possibility that this is the last we will see of this. And that
Like,
pisses
but
me off with the way they
who wrote this?
kind of did that whole, hey, by the way, there's more of this. Haha, you'll never see it.
Yeah, maybe
This
it was
was-
like concept for like the prototype Shinobi and like his secondary suits, and they're like, ah, fuck it, just throw it all together. I mean, because they're all just Kit Bash suits anyway. Like, especially with like Shinobi, like the mask is clearly an X8 thing, and then like when it cuts to like some of the other like ninja concept art things, it's got like one with punching gloves. I'm like, that's just fucking Newton from Ghost. Well, the punching glove and stuff. I'm like, oh, so they're all just Kit Bashes. Like, it feels like this should have been like the pilot of like another show. Like, it wouldn't be Kamen Rider or Sentai or something. It would have been like a third Toei show. Because it's got like its own weird tone, but it's also got enough story to make like at least one season. So it's like, maybe it's like a Hibiki situation. They were gonna do their own thing, but then they didn't have enough support, so they rolled it into a special.
Okay, so you want to know, Hivashi, you want to know who wrote this special?
Why do I get the feeling that it was the dude from the Ninja?
No,
No?
no. She was a writer for. She wrote certain episodes of Lupin Ranger versus Power Ranger. Actually, she wrote a particular episode.
Oh god! Wait, that episode was written by a woman? The infamous episode that had a scene that lasted way too long.
Kaori Kaneko.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is. Well, to be fair, right? The guy who fucking wrote Ninja is writing Zio, and Zio's really good right now. So.
Surprising how that happened after Decade showed up again.
she,
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he wrote Go Riders, and Go Riders is fucking amazing. Right?
she wrote.
So it's.
She wrote good episodes too of like Lupin Ranger vs. Power Ranger, like the episode where the cops are initially like investigating Gerard, like, hey, we think you're the thieves,
Okay.
and then they trick them by using just duplicates.
Like, given her that, just like she's apparently obviously had some fantastic episodes, but we will never let her live down that crotch grab.
Yeah, that was not
Disturbing.
great.
That was disturbing, especially even more so knowing it was written by a woman.
She wrote the episode where Keiichiro loses his memories.
A good episode, even for a clip show.
She wrote the best Sakuya episode where like he's nothing but a fuck up and can't do anything right, but then he snipes the bomb from like 200 meters away or something crazy like that. You remember that one?
Okay. So what I'm getting from this is like, I guess we should give these fuck up writers another shot if they produce enough questionably good episodes. Also, I don't know.
Okay, so that episode we're talking about is like the worst episode of Lupin Ranger vs. Pat Ranger. It's still like in the end, it's more of a subpar episode than a bad one.
Yeah, fair enough.
And like
so
he's written plenty of good episodes.
Can you look up
Yes.
who wrote that damn episode of Wizard? 34 or something? You know, the bird one.
Oh,
because
okay.
if that person got another chance, I know they've written Sentai. They're usually a Sentai writer. If they wrote some magnum opus, that would be hilarious because we're just uncovering all the insane good that these fuckers can do somehow.
Let's see here. Oof. What would that episode have been? Wanted Despair.
Yep. Yeah, because they're on the run, so it's Wanted Despair.
Let's see here. So those episodes were written by Daisuke Ishibashi, who wrote. Okay, he wrote those 2 episodes of Wizard, and he wrote the 2 episodes where Beast's friend gets that job where he gets paid to do nothing and becomes a rich asshole.
Okay, that was one good episode stretched into two shitty episodes. I mean, it was good, but they literally just went like, "Oh fuck, we need a 2-parter. This is one episode. No, just redo the same episode again right afterwards." It's like, what? That was a bad choice. I mean, that was an okay first episode. It was shit for the second half.
Let's see here. He wrote a few episodes for Sentai, a few Shinkenger episodes. take a quick look here and see if I can remember what these were.
Fine. Let's say he did okay. Nothing amazing.
Yeah, I don't, it's been a while, so I don't remember individual episode. Oh, I remember this one. He wrote this episode where in Shinkenger, green and blue get stuck together, and, like, they're, like, opposites. Like, they don't work in sync at all, but they have to learn how to fight in sync to overcome, like, their obstacle. It was actually pretty good.
Okay, so was that Beast episode before or after the
Before.
fucking ring? Yeah. So
Uh,
I'm seeing they're degrading in quality. Is what I'm seeing.
the Beast episodes were, like, 32, 33, and then the Bird episode was, like, 36, 37.
Oh god.
So that's Rider Time Shinobi. Final thoughts. We all want it to be a full series.
And I'm, as much as I feel that it won't be, I am holding out hope that they'll do, like Zero said, like, do like some Amazon's thing where they're like, yeah, fuck it, here you go, enjoy. Even if it's just on a smaller scale than what we're used to for these type of shows, but because this just looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like, my only thoughts on Shinobi is like, yeah, it was a fun mini series. Like, we haven't really had fun writer show or like very basic fun writer stuff in a while, so it was nice to see. Like, if I'm not sure if it could go like a full season. Like, it has enough plot, but like it seems like the condensed format was doing it justice. So maybe like a short run mini series like Amazon's, or at least like if it gets like multiple seasons like Amazon's did for its arcs, I'd be okay. Hell, even like one arc would be fine because it feels like it has enough story for at least like 10 to 15 episodes. You know.
Alright, so moving on to the Rider Time Ryuki special. We already talked a bit about this and spoiled some stuff. But from here on out, there's no hold bars. Like, we will straight up be spoiling Ryuki to talk about this because it incorporates some endgame shit.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen Ryuki and you don't want to be spoiled, back away now. I mean, it's not as bad as Blade or kind of Fies, where it's like, oh fuck, you don't watch any post Blade shit because you're basically spoiling the ending. It's not that bad, but like, yeah, like one, you kind of really have to know Ryuki to really enjoy the special because otherwise it's gonna feel too rushed and like, what the fuck is even going on?
Yeah, so the biggest complaint I've seen about this is that it's rushed. But, like, here's the thing
like,
about that. Of course it's rushed. Of course it feels rushed because you have 13 characters you have to get across in 3 episodes, and they're all going to die. But here's the thing. We know more than half these characters already. We don't need to establish them again. This is for the people who have seen Ryuki and like it. This is for people who know who these people are. It's not rushed because you're supposed to already know these characters.
Right.
Right. It's basically, as I said, it's the best decade episode of Ryuki ever, where it's like, it's just the characters in a new scenario, similar to the scenario they were in at their show, you know, and then seeing what happens, which is why it's great. But like, if you haven't seen Ryuki, then it's like, well, it's just some random shit happening. Like, I don't know what's going on. So like Tezuka, like if you haven't seen Ryuki, you'd be like, oh, Tezuka's an asshole. But if you've seen Ryuki, it's like, oh man, this is so, well, not so interesting, but like a lot of interesting stuff happened with this character that we can discuss. But like, if you have no basis for who this character is, then you got nothing to discuss, right? then you're like, oh, this is just one note asshole.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Rider War 2. Or 3, I guess, with the reset button.
Or
Like
4 or
13.
5 or... We don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
long
yeah.
Kanzagi Shiro was doing this before he finally gave up.
Right, exactly. So it's at least like, well, there's 7 in that one episode, and then there's mainline reset, so 9, and then one more in that one episode, so 10. Plus a movie, plus the decade special.
The TV special, which had 2 endings.
TV, so 2, and so that's 15. Plus this, right? 16, something like that.
Oh
It's
my
insane.
god.
So when are they going to figure out how to
Just-
just say fuck it and destroy the mirror world?
They
You
did.
can't destroy it, you can only close it.
Yeah, you can't destroy. It's basically like a weird alternate dimension thing. Well, the problem is they fucking broke through, and like the reason the mirror world opened is because something from that side is on this side, therefore the link is open. The thing is, fucking Mirror Shinji keeps showing up over and over, therefore, like the mirror world doesn't close because people
Because
keep
people
fucking with
keep summoning him like fucking Satan.
it. I know, right? I'm like, at this point, Mirror Shinji has shown up more goddamn times than actual Ryuki. Or at least like Kiddo. I mean, like maybe this Ryuki suit's shown up more, but like, yeah, like uh, Mirror Shinji has way like more appearances as that character than like Kiddo Shinji has, which is hilarious. Post Ryuki, anyway.
So they couldn't get all the veteran actors to return, so some of the writers are replaced with new actors instead. And the result is that it doesn't matter. Those characters don't get as much time. They get all they need to, and then they die. Because guess what? Ryuki is about death and despair, and it's like no one is
Yeah.
happy with this.
Yeah, no one is cool with this. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, because like fucking the one I really noticed is Taiga, Kamen Rider Tiger, where it's like he henches. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you, kid? Like, you don't look like this,
It's because he's a
right?
different guy.
Yeah,
So
I'm
okay,
like,
to
what the hell? Yeah,
to clarify, the writers that are a different character than their original appearance: Scissors, Tiger, Verde, Impair, Abyss. Odin is a questionable one.
oh come on, you know he didn't come back. Otherwise,
Well,
he
no,
would have
it's
been on
not
the
the actor, but it's implied to be the character.
right character. Yeah, see, in prayer, because I'm like, okay, what the fuck happened to you? You are not this character. You're like
Right.
way too nice now.
Yeah, like Impair, I'm kind of disappointed because the original Impair had a great story that would have been nice to see incorporated into this.
Right. I mean, well, actually, it would have been a really interesting take because like everybody got their memories wiped, but their like underlying personalities are kind of the same. So it would have been interesting to see because he had like two sides to him, where he genuinely seemed like a decent human being at times, but he was like hyper opportunistic. So it would have been interesting to see how that played out. But yeah, in here he's like super nice, and then he dies, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess we didn't want to fucking spend money on his CGI bullshit, so that's why he died. And then he turned into like the nicest person. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is not your character. But yeah, if it was a different actor, that makes, because he seems so different. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, let's.
Speaking of characters behaving differently, Kamen Rider Raya, Tezuka is different. But if you like pay attention, you can kind of justify it. in Ryuki, he wanted to end the Rider War because his friend and possibly boyfriend, based on what we learn here, dies right in front of him, getting eaten by a monster. So Tezuka becomes a rider to fight the monsters. Here, he doesn't have that experience. All he has is, I need to fight to survive.
Right. Especially because he still has his powers, which is like he can see the odds, and he knows the odds suck ass if he sticks with the heroes. But like in the original show, he saw the odds of like the heroes losing, but he would use his powers for like the better ending because like yeah, as you said, like he had the death of his friend slash boyfriend, which was probably like one of the most interesting fucking things because like they tied together two characters, uh, which from freaking like Rhino and like Tezuka.
Guy.
Because like it's like okay, that's like a weird thing from like Rhino's ending. So I'm like, did the actors come out as gay or bi or something, and they're
I don't know,
interpreting that?
but the thing about Guy is that like he's a sadistic asshole that loves to torture people for fun, and so like him and Tezuka, like no, they would never get along. But in this context, like I could easily see Guy like approaching him and manipulating him.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. But then I'm like, didn't he say something similar to this when he was dying in Ryuki? And then I'm like, oh, maybe that's what's feeding into the loop. But like, yeah, as you said, like, he's quite a fucking manipulative piece of shit. So that makes more sense too. Whereas like Tezuka, I think, as you said, just saw the odds and was like, fuck it, I'm gonna survive. And without having his like memories of like why he's actually fighting, like he just becomes a dude just trying to survive, right? And does whatever.
But then when he gets his memory back on the verge of death, he realizes he fucked up.
Yeah, that like Tezuka always dies, which is a thing in Ryuki, but I'm like, fucking never.
I can count on one hand the characters that don't.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Actually, at this point, is there any? They're all fucking dead.
Knight didn't die in the original series, and Ryuki
yeah, but he
doesn't
died
die
in
here.
This. I know, so they're all dead.
Well, Knight also dies in the TV special. If you want to get that technical. But both Knight and Ryuki survive in the movie episode final.
Right, I mean, like the good ending, everybody fucking lives.
No. The movie is called Episode Final.
Oh, right. Yeah. The one with Femme, right?
Yep. She also dies.
Speaking of another thing, a fucking character who's not in this.
What?
Right? Like 13 writers, but technically Ryuki has 14 writers. Actually, 15.
Wait. Okay, so Drago is saying how Knight dies at the end of Ryuki. That is questionable because it could also be interpreted as him just like passing out from fatigue after everything that he just fucking went through. Right. Although I do love the tragic ending idea that he also died. Therefore, what was it all for?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like we can. Shit. How do you want to play this? Do we just want to give the like synopsis and then go character by character?
Sure. Synopsis is that the 13 riders, or I guess technically 12, wake up in Mirror World in front of a mysterious hostess who tells them they need to fight and survive, and they have a week time limit. And so the characters are all kind of freaking out and don't know what to do, and just start killing each other. So
starting with Oja.
Right. Yeah, right. So Kamen Rider Oja is the only one who has his memory still. So he knows what's going on. It's like, oh sweet. We get to do this again?
sweet, it's murder
Yeah.
time.
The party has started.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe only the people who are like normal human beings got their memory wiped, so they're like, all right, just fight to live. Whereas OJ is like, fuck it, I don't care. I get to do this again. Yes, I don't need my memory wiped. Just give me my damn deck back, right? Um, right. Speaking of which, like for the longest time, like, wait, is that fucking Yui? Like, there is no way that's Yui. And then by like later on, I'm like, oh no, different character.
No,
Thank God, because I'm like, there is no way that looks like Yui.
but she's
Also, there was
basically
fucking
taking the role of Yui here.
yeah, basically taking the role of Yui. Um, but it's like I'm like, oh no, don't do that. That would spoil the ending of Ryuki.
Well, we already gave a spoiler warning.
No, I mean like not like that. I mean like it would destroy
Oh.
like the happy ending of
Oh,
Ryuki. Yeah, I'm
you
like
mean spoil as in like spoil rotten?
yeah, I don't want that to happen because like Ryuki has one of the most interesting endings where it's like no, there's no way to for the Kamen Rider to fix this situation. Like you can't fight your way out of this.
Yui is
Right? I
dead.
mean you can. You can. What?
I said Yui is dead, which was kind of the point of Ryuki.
Yeah. I meant more like I mean Wizard is like maybe the closest to that message where it's like you can't change the past sort of thing. Well, I guess in Ryuki's case you can change the past, but Yui is still dead. Um, but it's more like you can't beat the final boss because if you beat the final boss, that's what the boss wants, right? Like you can't just murder your way to a happy ending in
Right.
Ryuki, where it's like Yui and Kenzaki have to work something else out. Otherwise, like 13 people are gonna fucking drop dead.
So taking the part of Yui is some girl named Sarah. She was hit by a car and hospitalized, and the guy who hit her, Tatsuya, felt really guilty about it, and he would visit her in the hospital every day to cheer her up, and that turned into a romantic relationship. But now she is on her deathbed. So, in the real world, he becomes another Ryuki, because this is still taking place during Zio, and starts killing people to collect lives to save her. And so she wants to stop him from doing that. So she starts up the Rider War again, and to get a bunch of people to kill each other. For what end? She dies anyways.
I'm still trying to figure
Yeah,
out what the entire purpose of that was.
Like, if it had saved her and she had appeared in person and said, "You don't need to do this, I'm fine," I would have been like, okay, there you go. But she doesn't.
Like I'm still here's my biggest problem with this is the whole aspect is like it's set down. Oh, whoever wins can leave, and
Okay,
I guess that was
why are they here?
I guess that was the ultimate goal, is to get one of them to leave so that they can stop her boyfriend.
right. Like I
Why
feel
not
like what
just let
should
them
have
all the fuck out?
right. Like I
Rob,
feel
why
like
are they there in the first place?
exactly. I feel like what should have happened is like the accident or whatever else was happening should have put her into the mirror world, and the only people she could talk to was the old mirror world based writers, and that would put her in contact with all of them, and then making her contact them because she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing would reactivate their powers, and then the like fight would just start up again because OJ's back at it, you know. Um, You know what the weirdest thing is? Like, yeah, you could like that would have been one way to get around it. The fucking like memory shit or whatever. You could have like somehow put the time jackers in. They fuck with the characters' memories and stuff, or something. Like, okay, another Ryuki is running around and he clearly has a ride watch because he exists. But like Kenzaki Shiro's there, but like he's not doing the like he's not giving him the monster form. That's clearly a ride watch. But like the
Like,
time
so
jackers
I
are
have a
never
theory
in
about
this.
I have a
Yeah, go
theory about that, but it's pure conjecture, and I can get to that
Sure.
later.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like if we put the time jackers in here and they could have maybe patched this over, like that's the weakest point. Is like the story makes sense. Getting the writers into the mirror world doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, why would you do that? Because like, had she been stuck there and she could only talk to them, and they wound up in the mirror world somehow because of something the time jackers or whoever did, it would have just made perfect sense. But then like her starting another fight just for them to leave is like such a stupid reason.
That like here's my issue. My other issue with it is this obviously takes place after the Ryuki episode in Zio. So all of Ryuki has already happened. How'd she bring the dead people back to life?
Oh fuck, that's
Or
a good
with
point.
No, no,
or
no,
are
no,
they
no.
running off the timeline where everybody lived?
Yeah,
So
probably.
they're running off the timeline where everybody lived, but the timeline where the Rider War happened still exists.
Right, because that explains Dark Ryuki.
Yeah.
Right. Ryuga.
Yeah, Ryuga. Which that was a great touch for this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that fucker is probably one of the most notable things about Ryuki. Like, unless like Alternative Zero, like 3 or 4 or whatever showed up, like that guy is one of the most noticeable things about Ryuki. I mean, for a while we had a couple like Dark Riders, but like I think Ryuki has like probably the most famous one of them all. So that's why he keeps showing up over and over.
Okay. So to go over the replacement riders real quick, Impair, Verde, Tiger, and Scissors, uh, they were well, they were all pretty generic except for Scissors, who kind of had that like own sadistic side about him before he died. Uh, so that was interesting to see, but ultimately there isn't much to say about these guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, holy shit, I felt so bad for New Emperor because, like, he just got fucking murdered, like, out of suit by the monster. I'm like, oh my god, that's fucking vicious. Like, because normally in Ryuki, like, Tezuka's monster is, like, seen as, like, the weakest one for the most part. And then that thing just, like, getting so many kills was so fucking weird. Coming from, like, what he does in Ryuki.
So, on a small side note, it has been a very long time since I had watched Ryuki. I forgot about all the murder.
How could you
Yeah.
forget?
I don't mean like, oh, well, we've killed writers. No, I mean like the outright blatant fucking murder, like what they did
Yeah.
with what's his name.
Knife.
Like I forgot all about that type of shit.
Yeah, right. It's been a while
So it's
since
like I
any
started
of these
watching, and because I've gotten kind of used to the whole nobody really dies kind of thing that writer and
Well,
stuff
I
has been
mean,
doing.
not in the specials. In the specials, it's like how many buckets of blood can we pour on the floor?
Right, it's like
Especially Rogue and Snipe, where it's like the characters are just like dumping red shit all over the floor.
like
But yeah, you're right. Nothing.
I'd forgotten about that aspect being as prominent as it is. So it's like, so when what's his name gets fucking knifed to the chest during a fucking meal, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, that was so fucking good too. Um,
Sorry.
that was so fucking brutal. Like the weirdest part is like, fuck, it would have been so interesting. I mean, to see like because you had like Scissors who has like no character except was like an evil police guy. So I can see him being off because I'm like, what's he gonna do when he comes back? I mean, like maybe like it would be interesting to make chameleon guy claws because like okay, he's just like the more cynical investigative side. like his underlying personality would kind of be there, but like okay, they pretty much just wanted to rewrite like Chameleon's personality because he didn't really have one, so it's fine. But then like Tiger is really interesting because like okay, at first I was thinking, oh, that's just the actor, and holy shit, he bulked up, um, and that's weird. But then I'm like, oh, maybe the like the memory wipe just reset him to basic, and because he didn't doesn't know the professor, he doesn't even try to pretend to be a decent human being now. He's just a psycho. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of an interesting take. But then, like, yeah, as you guys said, it's just like randos pretending to be these guys, so they're just taking their most basic trait of like, oh yeah, he's a villain, just like villainous. I'm like, that kind of takes away from these characters because like the ones that returned have such an interesting take to them, where it's like, um, I guess we'll get to them, but yeah, what were we talking about?
We're talking about the replacement riders who didn't get much screen time. There's also Abyss, who literally shows up for one scene and then gets killed by Ren, which is a good development for Ren because he has that breakdown of I literally just killed a guy, which was a huge plot point for him in Ryuki.
Right, because like in Ryuki, he never kills anyone, right?
Uh,
In the
sorry.
movie, he does.
In Ryuki, he kills the first Odin puppet because Kanzaki
Oh,
Shio
right.
can't fight himself, so he just turns a homeless guy into Odin.
Shit, I didn't remember that. Oh yeah, he does defeat one Odin. You're right.
Yeah, he kills the first Odin, thinking that's Kanzaki Shiro. But then when he finds out it wasn't,
Right.
he still seems a little unconcerned, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, like Odin's like so villainous that like he doesn't feel that bad. But like in the movie, he fucking kills someone, and then that kind of
In
messes him up.
I don't remember an episode final, but in the TV special, he kills Verde after Verde like kind of pressures him into it and mocks him for not being able to kill anyone.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking of the special. It's so freaking hard to separate what's what. Anyway, yeah, like the returning. I guess it's nice to see. Like that's one of the things. Like Ryuki suits are pretty nice. Like they're not as timeless as like Agito himself. But they're still really nice suits because they've got like such an interesting level of detail that like we don't get nowadays. Especially because they have like chrome and stuff, which actually makes them look like they're actually walking around covered in metal and shit. Whereas now it's just like, oh, you're just walking around in product placement. Um, so that's kind of nice to see the old suits in action, like the old finishers and everything. But yeah, like there weren't really much of characters. I mean, there's fucking 13 of them. Well, like fucking
Right.
Abyss isn't even from Ryuki. He's from the damn Decade Special. So
He still counts as a Ryuki rider, and I'm kind of disappointed we didn't really get to see his unique gimmick, which was that he has 2 contract monsters.
yeah, but I mean, like Oja has fucking 3 of them in the show, so it's like, you know, like
I mean, Abyss technically only has 1, but that one has a brother, so it's like having 2.
oh, that's interesting. I don't remember that, but that's interesting actually. I mean, then again, like compared to what like Imperial, who has like a fucking herd.
So Impair has the 1, but that 1 commands a bunch of grunts.
Right. So it's like, I mean, Abyss is interesting, but he's not as interesting as some of the other ones we've seen. I mean, it's a nice suit, but it's like that's all it is at this point. Um, but again, like if this was like, well, I'm not sure it could sustain like 10 episodes, but at least if it had like a couple more, like at least 2 more episodes, we might have gotten time to get some personality into these guys.
So moving on to the actual like veterans. Uh, we got Ryan guy who we already talked about. They're in a homosexual relationship, which I believe is the first one shown in Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I mean, like, probably. Well, it depends if you count Amazon's, the movie.
Um, hmm.
Well, not
I,
writers. So, okay, if we're just counting straight up people who
well,
have
okay.
belts,
Did that movie air on TV?
no. Well,
Then
this didn't
maybe
air on TV either. It's a fucking special.
it didn't. Hmm.
It's fine. The point is, those guys didn't have belts. They were just characters.
I guess they are like the first writers to have a same-sex relationship.
Yeah, so that's something. Because we've had, like, a couple, like, gay characters, but, like, yeah, never actually writers. And the problem is they always end up being, like, villainous in some way or another, so that's not great. You know, coding these characters in that kind of light, but I'm like, for the story, it works, sort of. But yeah, not great track record there. But then again, we can't even fucking get the one female writer we had out of the damn 13, so
She's
I guess
she's
we're stuck with
pregnant.
this.
She
I
has a
don't fucking.
child.
But get a substitute like all the other ones.
um,
Fucking. I don't know,
uh,
man. Yeah, they could have gotten the suit actor or something. Or just another character. Right? Like, ugh, whatever. It's
'Cause
fine.
they
I guess we'll
did
just
that.
have to deal with this sausage fest.
They got other actors to play other characters too.
yeah, like literally in this special. I don't know. They decided to replace her with Abyss for some reason.
Because
Right?
to
And
hell
it's
with
like,
female
look,
writers.
yeah, hell, you could literally have her do the same thing as Abyss and show up, die, whatever. At least she fucking showed up,
Hey, that's
right?
almost what
Like,
she did in the special she was in.
Like
well, she at least got a win in that. Sort of close enough.
you could even like have her be killed by Oja, which would be appropriate.
Yeah. Be fucking dark. Repeating it, but yeah, it'll work. It's not like the special's all that light.
As
The
Vashi found out.
yeah,
I was so unprepared for that. Like
I know.
I should have
Stab a
went
guy.
back. I should have went back and watched a little bit of Ryuki before I watched this, just to have that preface again. Because
I mean,
as soon
like,
as it
what-
happened, I'm like, holy fuck!
Like
like,
if you
I
had
don't
gone back
think
and watched the last like 6 episodes of Ryuki, you would have been good.
Like it to the point where I had messaged
Yeah.
Rai as soon as I saw that scene. I'm like, holy fuck!
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is more of like a special thing where it's like they tend to go a little more mature rated in the specials, so that's fine. Um, yeah, anyway, Femme would have been cool to see. Fuck any of the damn returning female writers would be cool to see, but we've literally never gotten a single one past their show, so I guess why break the streak now, right, Toei? Um, but right. So, Abyss dead. Scissors, who cares? Um, who else? Tiger, not worth anybody's time.
Right. We already we kind of went over them.
Right.
So, well, I had a question about somebody.
Okay.
Okay. Go.
Zolda.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was originally the lawyer in the series, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the lawyer.
And not the
So
assistant.
right.
Now it's the
Okay.
assistant.
Okay.
So what happened was the lawyer is likely canonically dead because of his terminal illness that he had in series, and so because he was actually not alive, they took the replacement, which was Goro, who became Zolda once in like the last episode to fight Oja, where he gets killed.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is, like, this is shown in the show that like Gorchan is really strong in the normal world, but he's not a good Zolda. So that explains why because the thing is, like, they're stuck in Mirror World, and even if Goro's strong, like Oja's fucking strong in a fight normally. So like, and then you put on all the mirror world shit. Whereas like Zelda, because it's his fucking rider deck, he's actually really good with it, even though he's not that strong in the real world. I mean, he's okay. Like he can take a punch and shit, um, but like Goro's really strong in the real world, but it's not his deck, so he's actually really shit in the mirror world. So he always has to do something like this. That being said, like as you said, canonically, he's Zelda's Kitawa probably is dead in the timeline at this point, even though he was in the fucking XA movie
Like,
or
yeah,
no,
like it's
the last Tyson movie, right? He was there.
right. He returned as one of the Go Riders. But you know that special is
Oh, he
also
was in it. Oh, in that special, yeah, yeah, because
like
he
the
wasn't a
actor.
Go Rider.
Yeah,
He wasn't a Go. He was
Yeah,
not a Go Rider in the Go Rider special, but
not
in
in
the
the
movie.
Go Rider special, no, but he was a Go Rider in the XA special that introduced the Go Rider concept. I can't believe I have to fucking explain that. What a mess.
I know, right? Welcome to Rider. At least we're not talking like character name wise, because fuck, like Kenzaki Shiro, right? Right. What's Blade's name? Kenzaki something else.
Kazuma Kinzaki.
Kazuma Kenzaki, right? So thank God, at least the writer names are all different.
Alright.
Because if they fucking
Okay.
started having writer names and
Well,
character name,
Zero, I'm about to fuck with you
yeah,
because
yeah, there's more. I know.
Kiria.
Ryoga.
Yeah. Who is Kiria?
Oh, right. There's the X8 one, and then there's
There's the Hibiki one that we're about to talk about next deal podcast.
oh god. Oh, that's true. Fucking. Um, and then yeah, and then there's like Kamen Rider Ryoga, and then Ryuga Kamen Rider. Um, what the hell? Cross Dragon, right? Cross Sea, whatever.
Banjo Ryuga.
Banjo Ryuga, and then the actual Ryuga from
In the actual
Ryuki.
Kamen Rider Ryuga.
And it's like, it's so fucking trash. I mean, it makes sense. It's like fucking so many years, like 20 years of character names. I mean, like, the thing is, the character names mean shit in Japanese. They're not just like normal names anyway. So it makes sense why they're repeated. But it's like, yeah, it's weird talking about them. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
Oja himself, like, is super into this, and he plays his role incredibly well. Hey, Drago.
Hey, Drago.
Yeah, the last thing I heard was about Ryuga and shit like that. I was just gonna say, you know, the amount of taiga there are in Garo.
Oh my
What do you call
god,
it?
yeah.
Ultraman and Rider is ridiculous.
So ridiculous. yeah, because there's like the one from Kiva, and then there's the one from, there's the
XA.
Ryuki one. Yeah, XA, and it's like, oh my god, it's so stupid. It's fucking great. And then right, exactly, and then it cuts to Garo and Ultraman and stuff. Holy shit. Or like the amount of fucking Ryus and like Sentai and Ultraman is ridiculous, because there's like so many of those fuckers. Yeah. So Oja's fucking great. I mean, like, no wonder. Like, we saw him fucking Brave special for X-Aid. He was great in that. He's always been so good as an actor.
He
Like,
plays
he's always so fun to watch.
he plays his character so fucking well.
Yeah, right. Like, immediately, like, he's just back into being Oja. There's no like, oh, you're kind of not 100% like as some of the other actors, but like he is just like spot on. boom, ready to go.
Because
Fucking amazing.
that's one of the biggest issues with like bringing back people to reprise their roles is like you get that rust to them. Be it just because of the
Right, like
the
Shinji had a little
everything
bit.
like everything from like the way they look to like seeing how age has affected them with how they're moving and with when they're fighting out of suit and all this, and just how well they can maintain that same kind of intensity that they had in the show. And here it is, what, 17 years later? Or,
Yeah, something insane like that.
or
2003, 2,
I want to say it was 2000.
2017. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
yeah,
been that damn long, and he still has. He doesn't feel like he looks older, but he doesn't feel any older. He doesn't feel like he's affected beyond or from anything that he's been through. He's still that fucking character.
right.
He looks
he's
great
still-
now. He looks great now too, compared to the last time we saw him. That old man phase
Yeah.
in X8 was weird.
Yeah, that was so bad. It's just that shitty rig, to be honest.
He was going through some
I
rough
mean,
stuff.
to be fair, they kind of revived him in this weird projector technology, so whatever. I can let it by. I mean, who cares? Um, yeah, like him and Ren are so spot on. I mean, like they were like really fucking good in Ryuki, but like they are just so spot on when they came back. Like I feel like Shinji's mostly there, but like unless Shinji's doing the Ryuki thing of like, hey idiots, don't fight, while kind of being a dumbass himself, like he doesn't really feel all that. Like he feels like, oh, nice enough dude, and oh, that's clearly the main writer. But like he doesn't feel like Shinji 100% because it's just been so long, especially with like the way the specials set up where they've lost their memories.
Yeah, I was gonna say that whatever it was just I was gonna say no that this Shinji sound looks like, instead of like having any experience as a writer, it's if Shinji just lived a normal life throughout and how he would behave like an ordinary person, and that's what this special gives the vibe of. Even the Ryuki episode in Zio has the same feel, and that's
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
yeah, I was saying like as interesting and nice as that is, it's like, oh, look at these characters living their normal lives. Like Shinji is not a normal dude. Like literally the first day of his first episode, first day on the job, he's late. Why? Because he saw some idiot get into an accident with another guy, and he's arguing with the guy who hit the other guy. He wasn't even in an argument, even in the accident. He's just there fighting the good fight or whatever he thinks he's doing. And then he gets to his job, and his boss yells at him. He's like, "Are you a fucking idiot?" So Shinji's character is, good guy, not the smartest dude, but jumps in when he thinks it should be when a person should jump in, even though he doesn't have the right answers. Whereas you kind of lose all that when you're like, oh, he's just living his regular life. But I'm like, I don't get the intensity that Shinji had. Like he always felt like he had this fire in him to do like the right thing, even though he didn't know what to do.
He's
Okay,
old.
to be fair, like it has been 17 years and he's matured a lot.
Yeah, I kind of get that, but it's like it kind of like dulls the
Like,
feeling of that character, right?
He's no longer that hothead fresh out of college.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good reason for it, but it kind of like diminishes him as a character, right? Because that's what made him like distinctly Shinji, where it's like he would just jump in like a dumbass into shit that didn't really concern him. But like, yeah, as you said, like it makes sense in combination with the Zio episode. It's just like I would have liked to see more like old school Ryuki Shinji back.
I mean, they didn't time travel, so well, this is what we got.
I mean, like every other fucking writer shows up and they're basically acting like nothing happened for the most part. But like, yeah, you're right. It's like the character has matured, so it does reflect that. It's just like it takes his distinctiveness away from him because now he's just like, oh, I used to be a journalist, not anymore. I'm just an old Japanese man now. Well, not that old. I mean, like, not as old as some of the other people in
He's
that fucking
he's
like.
he's like 40.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not as old as some of the other actors looked when they poured it in, because then I just felt like, oh my god, this is fucked up, man. You're making these like old men fight to the death, which is real fucked up, especially with no memories. Like, jeez. Um. Anyway, Vashi, any thoughts?
No, you guys kind of covered everything.
All right. So we've got Ryuki, Knight, and Ryuga left. You talked about Ryuki a bit. Knight was spot on. Like, he pretty much goes through his like entire character development from Ryuki here, where like he has the momentary breakdown from killing a guy, the recovery, the dislike of Shinji to becoming his friend. Ryuga is Ryuga. He's just an evil Ryuki. What I really like though is the parallel that you get when Knight dies, because in Ryuki's series, like Ryuki dies, and so Knight is like holding him in his hands, like as he dies, and they have that like send off moment, and they kind of do the opposite here with Ryuki holding Knight as he dies.
Yeah, I mean, at least Knight got a speech, or basically got to talk, whereas Ryuki was like fucking dead. Because Shinji just dies like protecting some character, and just like Ren barely gets there in time. But when they're talking about like, yeah, next time we'll meet in the world without that knows no battles or whatever, and then or knows no fighting, and then they talk about like, yeah, we'll meet in that world and have a fight, yeah, fight about nothing. And I was like, oh my god, this is like the sweetest fucking thing, coded in the most Ryuki style dialogue ever. I was like, oh my god, so good. Really fucking sad, but so good.
Like, and I love the way that they did that too. Is like, because we didn't get it before he left the mirror world. We kind of got it as a, oh yeah, by the way, here's how that played out. And it was done really well. Like, to me, that made it more emotional, seeing everything after he leaves, seeing it, what happened right before it, made his appearance that we just saw even more amazing and emotional. Also, the whole why he looks at Gates and goes, Ren?
Right? That was so good.
And the fact that they superimposed Ren's face on Gates' head was fucking great.
Did they? Oh my god.
Yes, they did.
Okay. I was gonna say they didn't superimpose, but rather they asked Ren to wear Gates' clothes, and then he was there for a second.
Oh, so that's what it actually was, Ren?
Oh my god, that's even worse.
Like,
Yeah.
like
ridiculous.
to me, with the way his head was sitting in that outfit, it just looked superimposed. It didn't look like it was actually Ren. Oh my god, that makes it even better. So
I'm never letting this go.
So, congratulations, right? It's officially fully canon. Gates is fucking Ren.
I am never letting this go. I'm holding on to this like a trophy.
Nice. Yeah, I guess we've pretty much covered most of the characters a little faster than I thought, to be honest. But I guess we can go over like favorite moments and stuff. Just that way we can loop back through, because most of it's like fighting and stuff. Oh, actually, we didn't talk about Goro.
Talk about who?
Yeah, the assistant.
Oh, Goro.
Yeah.
He had a great moment. I didn't know what was going on when he kept like acting like Gojo was the sensei, like, dude, you hate this guy. But then it was all like he was just waiting for like a week opening. It's like, yeah, you're all right. You also remembered everything. You're also a fucking badass.
Yeah, I mean, when Goro was doing the
Playing the
sensei thing, I'm like, at
goddamn
first,
long game.
yeah, yeah, I'm like, this is exactly the type of shit I would think you would pull because you know how strong Oja is. In 1-to-1, you can't win in a fight. In the mirror world, you're fucked. I mean, like, maybe you could chance it in the outside world, but not in the mirror world. The mirror world, you've got no chance. So just playing the long game. Like at first, I'm like, this is weird, but I'm like, I wonder if he's fucking just waiting for his chance because that's what he did in Ryuki. It was like, oh, such a good payoff. Also, like, I mean, it's freaking Goro-chan. He's been like so many damn Tokusatsu shows at this point, so it's kind of nice seeing him go back to his original role but kind of bring his like new school tokusatsu like backstabbingness or like kind of fucked up villainy. Because lately, or not lately, I guess like the last time he played like just a good guy was like Ryuki and then Shibuya
Gaim.
15. Oh yeah, he was in Gun. I don't even remember that because he barely
He was
there.
a juice guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but he's so not a character that like I don't even remember him being in Gun. Yeah, you're right. He was the guy. But like most of his more memorable characters are a lot more villainous. Um. So yeah. Oh yeah, you haven't seen fucking Garo. So Garo's has miniseries based on his secondary main character, which is like Makai Zero basically. Uh. So he has
You
like
mean Zero Dragon?
sorry, what right?
Sorry, I
Zero.
wasn't saying anything.
I was the one who speak. You mean Zero Dragon Blood?
Yeah, I'm talking about Zero Dragon Ball. I'm trying to explain it to Rai because, and then he has like two miniseries based on him. The second miniseries, like the first one's Black Blood, which has fuck, who does it have?
Tin Camus, the guy who was in Ultraman and he's in Kamen Rider Ghost.
Yeah, he was in Fives. He was the dude who can melt anything from Lucky Clover. Um, but no, I was thinking of like the Sentai person who's in the first one.
Toku Yellow.
Yeah, Toku Yellow from Tokyo is in Blackbird, which is his first miniseries, and then in his second miniseries, Goro's there as the villain. He's the Dragon Knight, so he's interesting. Um, he's also in Amazon, but he's just like some weirdo human dude who's just like, oh, you'll see him. It's like episode 7 of Amazon's if you want to watch. Um, Anyway, yeah, he's really good at like fucking acting. Dude, that guy barely looks like he's aged, which is pretty amazing.
I didn't even know that he was the juice bar guy in Gaim.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like that character is such a nothing that like you'd forget who even plays him or anything. It's just kind of sad. I mean, to be fair, like Gaim has a lot of weird like tokusatsu actors like Sid or whatever, like the dude who sells the block seeds and stuff. Like he has his own tokusatsu show. He was the hero. Like Lion Maro G, he's the main character of that. Um, and Lion Maro G is basically like a reboot of the original Lion Maro show. So like that's really interesting because he's basically like imagine Fives but not a Kamen Rider, like another Tokusatsu hero. It's kind of like that where it's like very nebulous, like gray morality type of dude, like really not the nicest guy, but he's still your hero. Like he wants to do good, but he's like not a decent human being most of the time. Um, it's interesting, or at least the first half is interesting. The second half is just fucking generic tokusatsu, which isn't worth that much. But like the first 6 episodes are great by Margie. And Shibuya Shifting is fucking great all around. I mean, it's got a lot of fucking people from Ryuki and Faiz, like Mari from Faiz and major character.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. In this special, man, playing the long game so well. And then he loses the fight at the end. But I'm like, realistically, that is kind of how it would go. Like, he has no chance against OJ in the mirror world. Any thoughts, Vashi? Or Drago?
No.
Yeah, I really liked his portrayal again. As far as like this season, I was really weirded out like how he could mistake Asakura for Kitaoka, but him remembering was a nice twist that I didn't see coming. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, I love how like even OJ is like super freaked out. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And then he's like, okay, fine, you make good food. I can at least use it. The interesting thing is it kind of brings like interesting closure to some things where it's like OJ's like, yeah, I never really hated Kitawa. I'm like, what the fuck?
He really enjoyed
Their fight.
fighting him. Like, and it makes sense if you think back to the end of Ryuki when he finds out that the Zolda he fought at the end was actually Goro. Like, he got super mad because he didn't get his epic showdown with Kitaoka.
Yeah. That's such an interesting callback.
He was fucking robbed.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting character arcs, or like really interesting revisits, to be honest. So it's a lot more well done than like if you've never seen Ryuki, it probably seems like a fucking shit show of what the hell is going on. Like if you've seen Ryuki, it's really interesting. Anyway, so moments that you enjoyed or anything like scenes, action, whatever.
I really enjoyed the two scenes where one scene where the one is the case Ren thing at the end, the Ren dying in Shinji's arms, and the fact that what do you call it, the guy actually uses the knife with blood to eat meat. That was super creepy, but I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he do that in the show? I don't remember. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, that was fucking
Okay.
creepy.
I also forgot to tell that. I also like the confirmation that Tezuka is gay. Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Yeah, go
At
ahead.
least.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like I mean, gay by whatever. The point is, at least something. It also explains like why the person who died, who Tezuka knew. Let's go with that. I don't know which word to use there now. Right? Because it could have been like a one-way thing. I don't know if he was his boyfriend or not. There's no way to confirm at this point. But it explains why it had such a huge impact on him, and then wiping his memories away. Why that like totally fucked up Tezuka, because then all it's left is just survival mode, right? It's kind of sucks that you like, right? Like the gay characters ended up being evil, but like at least there's something. Anything else on the other characters, Drago, or anything on this?
Yeah, and I like Asakura. I like Asakura in very short bursts, like because if you keep him for too long, I think he gets a bit annoying to me. But this one was perfect enough.
Yeah, I feel like Ryuki later on kind of got a little too much Asakura, so the plot started to drag a little bit. But yeah, like this just shows why he's such a good character, or like played so well. Like whenever you just add him, it adds so much more energy into whatever plot you're doing or whatever scene. You know. Vashi, any thoughts?
Like, I I loved every bit about this. Like the fact that they kept the fact that the monsters are in the mirror world. And the fact that they kept interrupting the fights was great. Um, the characters themselves, I'd forgotten a lot about Ryuki because Ryuki was the second writer show I ever watched. Um, and the only reason why I originally watched it was because I heard so much bitching about the episode in Decade, which was the first series I watched. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back and watch that then. And one of my biggest things I like about this series is the fact that it feels like they still filmed it the way they filmed Ryuki, with like the same type of cameras and stuff like that. Like they use the same type of filming techniques and whatnot. It's like it doesn't look newer. I mean, some like the colors
Well,
are crisper and all of that, but it has that old, like it could be 17 years old.
yeah, I mean, it's not in a bad way. It's mostly because like they shot. That's what I was gonna get at. Is like the way they shot the fights were really interesting. But they're so closed in, and like a little bit shaky and stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, we don't get this stuff in modern Rider. And
Which
like that beginning fight where they're like going from like place to place and all the different riders fighting in like one continuous shot. I mean, they spread some of the footage up in the middle when they're walking or the cameraman's walking or whatever, but it's like, yeah, like these old school techniques still work. We're so used to like the standard like stand there CGI fest that like we've forgotten like how good just like the old school shit is. And that's one of the good things about Zio is like it's bringing back like some of the older stuff and showing that like yeah, it doesn't just because it's 2019 doesn't mean you can just throw these away. They're still useful.
like outside of the little flashbacks you get is like it, this would fit like at the end of the show if you know you didn't pay attention to the way the characters looked. Um, it it like because it's filmed so perfectly with enough of the old style of filming that it's perfect. Like I think if they would have used like the newer cameras and newer filming techniques that they use now, it wouldn't look like it fit as well as it did. Because you can see like the drastic change from the beginning of it to then when with all the Zio stuff as part of it is you can see that it's a drastic difference between the way they filmed it and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Um,
especially when it
And
comes.
okay, and also the fact that it is also written in a way like an old school writer, considering they got back the guy who wrote half the Ryuki shit, Toshiki Inoue. So that's
Yeah,
also present in the style. I think them trying to replicate the authentic experience of the older writer show was really nice.
yeah. I mean, that's one of the great things of Zio doing is like, unlike Decade, which is like, okay, we're gonna do an alternate take, but it's our alternate take. In here, it's like, yeah, it's an alternate take or extension to the show, but it's still in the style of these shows. So it's good to see the old stuff. And like if you haven't seen like the old stuff, you still kind of see the different vibes that all the different shows kind of had, right? Um, Especially this like probably one of the better showcases. Like Ryuki is hardcore. It's not this hardcore because like it still had to show up on TV. But for the most part, like yeah, this definitely gets the Ryuki vibe. Plus, this was shot really well. Like some of the shots are so well done. Like there's this like really amazing shot where it's like Oja and like Kiddo and Ren just standing there and they're in like shadow, but the like silhouettes are highlighted with their own colors, and it's like, holy fuck, that was such a nice shot. And then like some of the other action stuff was really good, and just even these old suits, man, they're still nice. I mean, yeah, they kind of look a little dated with like some of the stuff when they do their finishers and stuff, and it's like, yeah, these are old props, but it's like for the most part, like they still work well enough in this modern day that we can still use them, which was a nice touch.
It's like that, and it was nice to see like the characters come back and kind of reprise their roles, even if it was kind of rushed and, for lack of a better term, half-assed, because they had to chuck in like 50 episodes worth of character into 3 episodes. And the way they map the story, aside from that one clusterfuck of a reason for this even taking place, it works as like you said, Zero, as a great extension to the show, with a beautiful wrap up, even though it's kind of, oh shit, he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a really bittersweet wrap up where it's like, well, fuck, everybody's dead now. I mean, like, there's no point of doing this Ryuki shit. That's why, like, Shinji just. At first, I'm like, oh, it's the Ride Watch resetting time so they don't remember. But I'm like, no, no, it's not. Like, Shinji just fucking gave up being Ryuki because, like, there's no point. He doesn't have his memories. I mean, I guess he does get it at the end. But it's like, what is even the point of doing this Ryuki shit when it's like, one, you're tied to the mirror world, two, it's like everybody's fucking dead now, right? Like that was such a bitter ending, but I'm like, I mean, yeah, Zio's probably gonna reset all this, so it doesn't matter. But it's like such an interesting thing. Like, you know how there's always like the same time it was, oh, 10 years after. I'm like, oh god, the fucking Rider movies 10 years after are all fucking depressing.
And this is our
Because
10-year
there's like,
after.
yeah, right. This one for Ryuki, and then like all the Fies continuations are all fucking bittersweet for the most part. I'm like, oh my god. Especially like the special that's added to GP Tyson. No, yeah, Kamen Rider
Kamen Rider
Tyson
4.
GP. Yeah, Kamen Rider 4 is the special that's tied to Kamen Rider Tyson Grand Prix, where it's like, oh man, like fucking Fies fucked up real hard. And then like, yeah, so it's like Sentai gets all the fun shit for the most part, and Rider gets like action or bittersweet continuations, which it's like, yeah, it's really good to see these actors again, but I'm like, oh man, do I want to fucking see their happy endings turn to shit when they show up? So like that's the other problem of Rider. It's like, well, generally their series end happy, but like if they have a continuation, then something went wrong.
Like it's beautifully done, and like we said, it's a beautiful extension to the end of it, even if it is bittersweet. And yes, we'll probably get the reset by the end of this, because it's unlikely, even this with Zio being the last of the Heisei, them
Well,
not giving
technically Brain, but whatever.
right, but with this being the last full series of it, the odds of them not going, hey, here's all the powers back, let's correct everything, it's unlikely that they won't do that.
So just because he gives the powers back, hypothetically, that is, why would that prevent this from having happened?
Yeah, I mean, technically we saw like, yeah, the Agito thing of like, oh, you just give them the watch
Right.
back and they get their powers, but like, they have time machines. I'm guessing at some point they're just gonna go back and like prevent the fucking bus crash or whatever. Maybe they won't go that far back, but like I'm thinking it's gonna be some timey-wimey bullshit at the end, where it's like none of
So
this show really happened. Like maybe they'll do a build thing of like, oh, new world. You know, the show happened, but that was an alternate reality.
why are you assuming that Sogo won't have his powers at the end of this show?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like he's probably gonna keep his powers, but like Bill kept his powers too, even though he wound up
Well,
in a different
okay.
world.
Bill literally jumped to a different world. He didn't prevent his story from happening.
Well, you don't know what his power, so his powers is, right? Like maybe he gets some kind of weird like final power up, which is like even if I wind time, I'll still keep my memories. Therefore, I can still keep
He's a
my drive.
singular point.
Yeah, like maybe he becomes like Deno by the end, where it's like, yeah, like doesn't matter what happens, I'll still get my belt.
No, I think it'll be like a Gokaiger where he gives the rider powers back at the end, but everything still happened.
Oh god, that would like literally. I'm pretty sure everybody would be pissed if that's the ending. Oh no, I mean like if he doesn't give their powers back, then everybody would be pissed. But like if he does give their power, most people would be pissed because I'm like, you fucked up so much shit, right? Like definitely the Ryuki one and the fucking Blade shit. Well, Blade is questionable.
I have
Like so.
I have a slight workable theory with that, which would still let him keep his powers and give everybody his powers back. By the time he reaches that point, his final power up, I'm assuming, will be similar to like Decade's final power up.
It just does anything.
Right, or like the whole icon, the giant icon thing or whatever, where he has a watch that has access to all of the other powers. At which point he doesn't need the ride watches, so he gives the powers back, which
Yeah.
restores everybody else's timelines and leaves his intact. Because
Right.
it's that whole after the fact thing, wibbly wobbly
Yeah,
timey
but
wimey bullshit.
yeah. The weird thing is like that would work for the early, right?
Who
Like
dropped out? Okay,
like
just Drago.
like through all of this, the only one I don't want them to give the ride watches back to is Blade. Because this was like the perfect way to end Blade was through Zeo.
Yeah.
Because that let everybody be together, which is how everybody kind of hoped Blade would end. And instead, that's not what happened. So we got the happy ending for Blade. So yeah, don't give Blade back his powers, but give everybody else back their shit because it's, let us have our shit.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with that is that would only restore like, as Rai saying, like the early ones where it's like you took their powers and therefore their timeline was different. But I'm like, Shinji would be fine. I mean, like that would fix flies, but it won't fix this. But what I'm thinking is like maybe he gives his watch to like Gates or whatever, and Gates goes back in time and fixes this shit, and then he takes his time machine, comes back in the future, and then gives Zeo his belt again, or Soga his belt again. And that way, like none of Zeo happens, but he still gets to be a rider. Yeah.
But yeah, back to
Anyway.
back to Ryugi. Like this was just pure fantastic. While I was unprepared for a lot of shit in this. Well, one moment in particular. This was perfect. Even with the stupid premise of, oh shit, somehow Ryuki ended up back in the mirror world, even though we just saw him outside of it.
The Rider War's happening again, and it didn't actually matter. But like this was fantastic to see again. It pays a great homage to Ryuki. It tells its own great story, and I was just tearing up at the end.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Really solid. The Zeo part seems so just like tacked on in there, and then like the other like the reason why this is happening is super flimsy. I mean, like everybody does a good job of acting, but it's like, yeah, the main draw of this is just the Ryuki stuff. It's just fucking
So
sad but amazing.
So like So after like Ryuki goes to the real world, like Odin is there because 13 riders, and he's the 13th one. And so you have the showdown there. And then when Odin is defeated, he calls out Yui's name before he disappears. So that kind of implies that was Kanzaki Shiro there. So I kind of have a bit of a theory about to try and explain this. Because the time jackers are looking for... Sorry, Vashi, you have something to say?
Sorry, I bumped my mic.
Okay. The time jackers are looking for like a replacement king, right? So they look for someone with the ambition to become king. Like Aura like went after Dark Shinji at one point to create an invincible one. So at some point one of them goes, "Hey, what about that asshole that made a bunch of people fight to the death? That seems like a guy with ambition."
No, man, guy's already taken. but, but yeah, Kenzaki Shiro.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So not Schwartz, because Schwartz doesn't wait for a response; he just forces it upon them. But like Aura or Uru, or rather, go to Kanzaki Shiro with another Ryuki watch, saying, "Hey, how about this?" And he goes, "No, but I have another idea." Like,
Yeah, so like that decade thing of like, or is this gonna hang around some weirdo while other shit happens? Like I could see, I don't see Uru doing it because like Kenzaki Shiro is too much of an asshole
like
for
he
him to.
pitches to them like, "Pick someone else, but let me handle it." So
Yeah,
they
I could see that
find
happen.
Tatsuya, and like Kanzaki Shiro kind of like rigs the wider war to start up again.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, yeah, he does control most of the rules of it anyway, so it makes sense. Anyway, final thoughts.
Like-
Unless there's something else.
Like ultimately, this was fantastic. 'Cause like I didn't realize how much I enjoyed Ryuki. Because like I knew I enjoyed it, and it's one of my favorite writer series. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it until I got this, and I also didn't realize how much I miss it. Like,
Right?
I miss the old Heisei writer shows.
Like, I need to, after Fies and Blade, I need to go back and rewatch Ryuki.
Because I've been going back and watching all the ones that I hadn't watched since I started. Because I started with Decade, so I'd been slowly going back. Like I said, Ryuki was the first writer before Decade that I saw. They are so fucking good and so different than what we have now. Like everything past Decade, yeah, they're great. Like X8, fantastic, and is by far my favorite writer series.
Like,
But Ryuki and Kiva and Agito, which I'm currently watching, are fantastic because of the way they're filmed, the way the stories run. Even if it is kind of slow to get to anything, especially Agito. Oh my god, Agito's slow to get to shit. But they're fantastic. And there's so much, to me, there's a lot more depth to the show, to the characters in the older ones than what we have, especially with Zero. Because there's not a whole lot of depth to Zero until we get to where we're at now. Then it's starting to get, oh yeah, because this happened, it changes how you view the beginning of it, and I don't really like that. Because without everything we learn now in Zio, the first half of the show does not hold up well. Until you get to that point, and then you have that moment of, oh, okay, so that explains all of this. And to me, that's a problem. Whereas, like, Ryuki especially, stands on the merit of the show is just fantastic from start to finish. They take a little while to get going and to where everything's grasped and understood, but they're amazing.
It's the difference between the shows being like more of a drama show versus more of a we need to sell toys to the kids show.
Right. It's like, and to me, they're much better when it was focused on the drama and the story.
Like X8 and Build both tried doing the drama aspect, but there were still like it's still like the whole Bondi pushing toy sales parts that jump in on that and throw it off balance.
It's like, and then like you take Ryuki. Like Ryuki feels, ignoring all of the murder shit in it. It feels more like a drama that just happens to have people who fight monsters in it. Like, it seems like all the writer shit in that show is kind of secondary to everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the up to like Kiva level of like, yeah, just stay here for the characters, or like Fives where it's like, oh, fuck this, Toei. Like, I'm trying to write a show here. Like, piss off with the damn fights of level of Fives. But like Ryuki, here's the thing: like Ryuki and Blade still have power ups. Like you literally see them in Ryuki. It's like, oh right, this is my card. It does this, right? Like sword, shield, special ability.
Right. It's
right? Like it's the same shit as Zio, but like done so much better.
And a lot more minimally. Because like Blade got what, the 2 power ups? The queen
yes.
thing, the queen thing, the little Joker queen thing, or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah,
Jack
form, Jack form, and King form.
And then
Garen got his King form, and Chalice got Wild.
And then
Garen got Jack. You mean
what?
King is only Blade.
Yeah.
Garen got Jack.
Oh, that's what I thought I said. Sorry. Yeah, Garen got Jack, and Chalice got Wild.
And then Ryuki's what? His only true power up was what? Survive?
Ryuki and Knight. Yeah, Ryuki and Knight both got Survive.
And that's it. Everything else is Everything else is they had to start with.
Yep.
OJ got a new CGI monster, but that's it.
And
yeah, it was like the worst thing. I mean, it's like that CGI thing is the worst. Yeah.
I get they had to balance it out with the fact of, hey, we're fighting 13 other fuckers here. So to have the main writers constantly get power-ups the way we do now, it would be fucking stupid.
Would have curb stomped everything.
Oh yeah, they would have curb stomped the fuck out of the rest of the writers. But
Five's got 2 power-ups, and even his final form he barely used because it wasn't necessarily stronger than his base form.
Right. At that point, the only power-up he really used was the accelerator, the speed-up thing. Because I think he only used his final form like 2 or 3 times. Like, but that's the type of shit that made me fall in love with Ryuki and Agito and everything else. It's like, it's so fucking good, and this makes me want to rewatch it again, and I'm going to when I'm done with Agito. And to me, like this type of special is what Zio should have been doing to me with the rest of the shows.
This is a bit much. The Blade and Agito specials are more in line with what we should have been getting, but this is fantastic.
Like, to me, this was better than what we got in show as a Ryuki. Much better.
This is definitely better, but for this to have been all of Zio would be too much. We should have just gotten more along the lines of what we got for Blade and Agito.
Right, and I fully agree. It's like, but like the Blade, Agito, and this to me feel more in line with, hey, remember these shows, we're paying homage to them the right way. Not just, hey, look, we have pretty new suits and we got some of the actors back. Like, this makes me, like, because, like, Gokaiger, they did this type of thing fantastically because Gokaiger made me want to go back and watch the old shows. Zio, nope. This, Agito, and Blade so far are the only ones that I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to go rewatch those again. Even though I just watched Blade recently. And this is, to me, what made this fantastic. It was so purely Ryuki. Even with all the Zio stuff thrown in, this was fucking Ryuki. The only thing I hated was the fact that to fucking survive was the fucking Decade Watch.
Oh yeah, fucking. He doesn't even use a Decade armor or a Ryuki armor. He uses the Decade armor with Ryuki's survive face on it. That's like that. Is that is the Decade armor the worst power up in all of Rider? Is there like is Drive's like big
power?
bulk form like worse, or is it this? Like what's the contest here?
Oh my god. Fucking.
I say
There's
this.
some pretty.
I say this only because A, it's supposed to be, hey, the whole final form thing, and half the time it's not a final form.
Oh yeah, no. This
think,
was the first actual final form because Ryuki only has 2 forms.
Like, to me, that's what kills the Decade armor. Is the fact that it's supposed to be, final form, and it's not.
I mean, like, even the Agito special, Agito doesn't even use his final form, he just uses Trinity. I'm like, Trinity's nice, but it's like 2 forms weaker than Agito can even go. You know? So it's like, that was kind of weird. But yeah, as for the power, like, we can list some shitty ones, but yeah, this is one of the worst ones in a while.
Alright, we've been going on for like 3 hours now. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. These specials were great. Better than the main show that spawned them. But that's all that we got for them. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday for more Ryu Soldier, Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Zio. We've got the Hibiki episode coming up, and then Thursday for more Power Rangers Beast Morphers. See you next time.
Thank you all for listening. Like I said, please come back and check us out for the actual shows. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Okay. Yep. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time.